Hebrew Israelites, it's time to pull up and prove all things. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy, Faithful to God, and y'all already know how I do. Y'all know how I get down. Y'all know I call these guys out. You already know how this goes down, and hopefully it's going to go down differently. So, for the Hebrew Israelites that will be watching this, I'm going to lay out the rules right now. From the jump, this is a room for you to come in here and demonstrate your claim of being an Israelite. In fact, let me do something real quick. Do this real quick. If you are a Hebrew Israelite and you come in here, you are under obligation before we get to anything else to demonstrate your claim of being an Israelite. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. If you claim that you are a physical descendant of Jacob, then you must demonstrate your claim before we get to any other subject. The reason why is because I want people to see that you cannot defend your personal claims in a coherent manner. I want people to see that a lot of you make really bold assertions that you can't actually back up with any concrete evidence, that the methodology is flawed. And I want you to see that you're actually doing something that the Bible itself doesn't call for you to do. In fact, in the New Testament specifically, when it talks about avoiding endless genealogies, or, for example, those who devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies, which promote speculation rather than stewardship from God, that is by faith. That's 1 Timothy chapter 1 for those who are curious. We have an issue with Hebrew Israelites that insist in an unhealthy fashion that in order for you to be right with God, you have to believe that they're an Israelite, or that it is of uttermost importance that you know that they and the people they think are Israelites are Israelites. Well, if you indeed believe that, you must demonstrate your claim. You must come in here and prove all things. So, if you are a Hebrew Israelite, we can talk about the law, we could talk about Gentiles, we could talk about anything else, old sources, etc., etc. But you must demonstrate your claim of being an Israelite first before we get to anything. So we're going to exhaustively go over your claim to see if it actually lines up with what the Bible actually says, and what, and we're going to see if your appeal to Bible verses are actually substantiating your viewpoint. So if you are a Hebrew Israelite, I'll repeat this again. The link is pinned at the top of the room. You can see it right here. This is the link. All you have to do is click on the link. You need a YouTube account. You will be allowed to come in here. You will be treated with respect, but you're going to be pressed on your beliefs. Best believe that. And the very first thing that we're going to talk about is your identity claim. So I want to see if we get even one Hebrew Israelite coming up in here. Just one. Please don't let me down. The previous Saturday, we had a Hebrew Israelite, and he was very respectful, Jamel, and I had a very cordial dialogue with him. And I actually gained more respect for him than I have for many of you, because a lot of you aren't even brave enough to come into a discussion to talk about your beliefs because you're afraid. You like to stick out. You like to stick around in your echo chambers where nobody can question you. Well, this is not an echo chamber. This is not an area that's a safe haven for you. This is a place where you are going to demonstrate your claims if you are going to come in here and insist that one needs to believe your claims in order to be right with God. So we'll see if any Hebrew Israelites come up in here. As for the Christian brothers and sisters who watch this, you already know the routine. If you have any questions, relevant to the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, feel free to ask your questions. All right. Any of you who have any questions regarding the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, you know that I will do my best to try to answer your questions to the best of my ability. If I don't have an answer, I will direct you to someone who does. But I want to see which one of the Hebrew Israelites are going to get brave and come up in here. And please don't let me down. I know that Jamel and I plan on having another dialogue with Jamel this Saturday, so I hope all of you will look forward to that. It'll be taking place at 1:30. Jamel has shown me to have more courage than your average Hebrew Israelite, and I actually have more respect for him in terms of that than I do for the ones that talk a good talk, but then are nowhere to be found when you're calling them out to, pull up. They like to misquote 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Talking about prove all things. Well, where are they? Where are they proving anything right now? You know what I mean? Like, hold on a second. My bad. This thing is connected. Hold on. Got my other Bluetooth connected. My bad. So I want to see which one of the Hebrew Israelites come in here. Shout out to the brother Stevie. Shout out to Donald. Shout out to Johnny. That's right. Don't run. Get in that ring with Faithful right now. That's absolutely right. The link is at the top of the live chat. If you are watching this live stream, look for the live chat. It'll be pinned at the top. All you have to do is click on that link and you will be in here. You need a YouTube account to come in here. All right. I want to see which one of the Hebrew Israelites get brave and come up in here and finally decides to stand on their square. Please don't let me down. A lot of you let me down a lot. And then a lot of you like to run y'all mouths in the comment section, but are afraid to come into these live streams. After you done talk the good talk, after you claim that Christians can't answer your questions, well, here's a Christian calling you out. I'm standing in the middle of the street telling y'all to pull up, and y'all nowhere to be found. So, I want to see which one of y'all actually get brave and pull up. Matter of fact, let's just make this extra clear. In case some of y'all can't see the link that's pinned at the top of the live chat. There goes the link again. I just posted it in the chat. That's right, man. They scared just like on Clubhouse. You right, man. I've never seen a group of people be this scared of one person. And at this point, I do equate it to fear. I do think it's fear. I do think these guys are afraid. Crazy, man. But we'll see what happens. Because I plan on being here for the next 2 hours. So Hebrew Israelites, you have exactly 2 hours to come up in here and show me that you're not afraid. In the meantime, any Christian brother and sister that wants any question answered relevant to Hebrew Israelism, you can come up in here and we can discuss it. In fact, I already sent the link to a brother. Hopefully he comes up in here. And, we'll do what we typically do. We'll go over some of the common objections that Hebrew Israelites like to raise. And, we'll see if Hebrew Israelites have any answers. In terms of coming up in here once we debunk their breakdowns and seeing if they'll actually stand on their square, try to defend their false beliefs. But if anybody has a question, feel free to ask it now. So this way I'm not repeating myself over and over and over, because I'll be honest, like after a while that gets a little tedious. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to ask them right now. Because I would hate for us to sit here with dead air and then not get to the points, if you will. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and ask them right now. All right. And I'm still waiting for the Hebrew Israelites to come up in here. I don't see no Hebrew Israelites. It's 9 minutes. Not a single Hebrew Israelite has come up in here. I can't believe that Jamel is the only Hebrew Israelite that was brave enough to come into a live stream and have a discussion. Don't act like, oh, well, it's like, Brother Faithful, you're just picking the wrong day of the week. Man, I do these on Saturday when they're all claiming, well, not all of them, but a significant amount of them are claiming to follow the Shabbat, quote unquote, the Sabbath, and they don't pull up. I do these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So 3 times out of a week, and they're nowhere to be found. Come on, man. I went on God Logic, who has an infinitely bigger platform than I do, and they were really nowhere to be found. None of the major guys went in there. You had the little stragglers go up in there, but none of the major guys went up in there. Gee, I wonder why. A dude with 500,000 subscribers, and you can't find none of them. After they didn't talk the good talk, none of them. Not the purple and gold guys. You can't find the ISUPK, the ones that claim they're no cowards. None of them dudes, man. Because I think at the end of the day, they know what's going to happen if they come up into a live stream with me in particular. They know what's going to occur. They know that it's not going to be a cakewalk. They're not going to be able to trip me up with something that I've never heard before. And I think that intimidates them. So, Byron, I don't know if you're a Hebrew Israelite. Here's the join link. One thing we're not going to allow is for Hebrew Israelites to live in the comments of the live stream. You either come up in here and have a discussion, or you're not going to have a safe haven here to just promote your rhetoric in text. Like, we're going to just let you hide out in text. No, you're under obligation to come up into this live stream. If you have any objection to me as a Christian or anything of that variety, you need to come up in here and quote unquote prove all things. All right. So I see we got Proud Jackson up in here. What's going on? Proud Jackson, what's up, man?
What's good, man? This investing off the blue. My fault. That's another name. I'm trolling other people.
Wait, say that again.
This blue invested off the blue.
Oh, what's going on, bro? Yeah,
What's
man.
good? What's
Did you have
good?
did you have any questions, man?
Yeah, I'll start out with I see no Hebrews actually hit the lead. So but I do understand both sides of the argument pretty well. So what did you have something in particular you was looking to pick at, or did you
No,
kind of
no.
want?
I'm waiting for someone to ask me a question relevant to Hebrew Israelism. This is where you ask me questions.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
do you think so is salvation for anybody outside of Israel?
Well, before I get to that, do you believe that salvation is only for the Israelites?
Yes.
No, you actually believe that?
Yeah, I believe that's what the Bible teaches. Yes.
Do you believe you're an Israelite?
No.
So then salvation isn't for you, according to that logic, right?
I'm not dependent on necessarily salvation.
Okay, so then you're not a Christian. So why would this even be like? Let me just so we're clear on something. Are you what are you committed conscious? What are you like
No,
atheist? Like what are you?
no. Um, I believe that there's a higher presence.
Okay,
I
so
don't,
here's a
I
question.
wouldn't put myself in a box though.
Okay, so why would you come with the asinine viewpoint that salvation is only for Israel when you have passages that clearly say salvation is for anybody that believes in Christ in the New Testament? And the Hebrew Israelite ideology is Johnny come lately, meaning it's not the ideology of the actual people, it's the viewpoints of a completely unrelated people group claiming to be the people. So why would you even think something as dumb as oh well the Bible says salvation is only for Israel. Where does the Bible say salvation is only for the physical descendants of Jacob? Where does it say that?
So you believe in uh, other nations being grafted in, correct?
I asked you a question. Can you answer my question? I said, where does the Bible say that salvation is only for the physical descendants of Jacob?
Simply when it clearly states that other people are being grafted into the tree of Israel.
So if they're being grafted into the tree of Israel, then it can't just be for the physical descendants of Jacob. You do realize you contradicted yourself, right?
I never said physical.
Oh my
You see
goodness.
how you added the word?
And get out of here. Hey, what's going on, Byron? What's
Shalom.
up, man?
You can hear my accent. I'm from England. I've
Yep.
been listening to your show. I'm not here to go and defend Hebrew Israelites. I was following the well, not one West doctrine. I did believe I was an Israelite, but I don't follow that doctrine at all. But I do listen to what they say. Um,
Yeah.
Basically, I've got a lot of knowledge with the Hebrew Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
Started from America. They're here in England. I'm not too sure if you heard about a murder case in England where a sister got killed.
Joy
Joy
Morgan.
Morgan. Yeah, I was at
Yes.
her. I went to her funeral. I was at her funeral.
Hmm.
And I know about the Hebrew Israelites also in Israel too. I've been to Dimona, Arad. Um, so I've got a vast knowledge. I've been like interacting with Israelites for the best part of say around 15 years. And
Wow.
I know one or two things. I don't like their conduct. I don't like the way they. I don't believe that Edomites are white people. I don't believe that at all. I think there's too
Mm-hmm.
much hate. And I also believe that the doctrine's false. I don't know if you're aware, because I've talked to Vocab Malone, a good guy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Vocab and I are good
I
friends. We're
yeah,
actually really good friends.
ISUPK, um, they did say in 2000, I think it was either 2016 or 2018,
Mm-hmm.
that Christ, a black Christ, that is, because that's totally different to the text Christ, right? They believed that Christ was going to come back, and in 2016, I believe that video actually still on YouTube, somewhere, and people didn't believe
What
me.
say this one more time? That so who was saying
So
Christ was gonna? Yeah.
ISUPK, you've heard of Tazariak. He's a main
Yeah. Of course. Mm-hmm.
face, and I don't really like him at all. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really
No, I
like.
hear you. I hear you. But wait, but let's not get sidetracked. So ISUPK, I'm following you. Uh huh.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, there was two prophecies. Obviously, you're aware of the one in 2000 or in 1999, 2000,
Yes.
um, where they said that Christ was going to come
Gonna
back.
return to the year 2000. Yeah. Right.
Correct, right? Everybody knows that they tried to cover up the footage and that, but the footage is there if you look for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's on my channel. I have a video on my channel on it. Right.
right, right. But also, what a lot of people don't understand is, forgive me for my English accent. What a lot of people don't understand is that either 2016 or 2018, that ISUPK said that Christ was going to come back. And then they said that Christ changed his mind. I think they pulled out something in Matthew. No one knows the time or an hour, and so many people slated ISUPK for that, right? But I believe that video.
I don't know if I've ever seen them say that in particular because that
Oh
would
no,
seem like
there's a
something that
video.
would be.
Yeah, they
Is it?
said that. They did say that. They said that they were boosting it up in 2016, and then um it was all sort of like swept underneath the carpet. But the video, I
Could
believe,
you
is
yeah, could you do me a favor? Could you post the video
uh, yeah.
in so in here there's a private chat. Do you see where it says like private chat? You see where
No, I haven't
it
seen that. But I'll try and find the video, but it's a long time because it's 2016, 2018. But the video was definitely on there, and I did show it to a few people a few years ago. And
okay.
they definitely, some of the elders. Now, Tazariak never said it. There's a guy higher than Tazariak. I think he's right next to Yahana. General Yana is the main chief with them. But I believe this, and I'm sort of like dealing with the politics with them. I believe that the One West Hebrew Israelite, they're the face of the Hebrew Israelite community, right? So there's other Hebrew Israelites, for instance. Now you've got somewhat say that they're not One West, but they have a funny doctrine as well because they believe that America is Israel. Another thing what's emerging is that a lot of Hebrew
So
Israelites
so
who
who
claim
are
that,
you referring to that say that America is Israel? Who are you
right, so
referring to
they're not one
specifically?
West. They're not one West. I talked to them on Facebook. I have about
Okay.
maybe up to 1,000 Israelite members and that, and there's all types of doctrines. You've got Torah Tanakh Israelites. You've got
Yeah, yeah.
Torah
No, no, but let's
only.
not let's not get sidetracked real quick because you're
Right.
saying a lot. So the
Okay.
one with the ISUPK, I wasn't. That seems like something that would have been on our. Just hear me out, brother. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying
No, no,
that
no. I'm not
seems
lying,
like.
brother.
I'm not saying you're
They never.
lying.
They don't deny it. They
Can
don't
you can
deny
you
it
can
either.
you, brother? Can you not interrupt me because you see me, I'm talking,
Yeah.
right? So I'd like to
Right.
finish.
Right.
So one thing that I like to do, I'm very critical of the Hebrew Israelite movement, but one thing I like
Right.
to do is back myself up with receipts, with evidence. If there's a
Correct.
way for you to get, I'm not denying that that video exists. I've never
Hmm.
seen such a video. If you have,
Yeah.
then I'd like to see that video. So before we continue, could you at least find me that video? Because I
Uh,
think
okay.
no, wait, let me just finish. Let me just finish. You got to hear the full thought, man. You got don't get
Yeah.
triggered. If one is going to make that kind of assertion, allegation against them, then it's really important that you show me the video. And
Right.
if you can't find it, I understand, but at least give me something to work with, like maybe a
Yeah.
post or something where somebody mentioned it, because
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty significant thing. And one thing I don't like to do, I'm only speaking for myself
Yeah.
here. One thing I don't like to do is misrepresent the opposing side. So even if I
Correct.
disagree with them, I want to ensure that if somebody is saying something about them, that they have the
Yeah.
evidence to substantiate what they're saying.
I will try and get that evidence for you. I'll try and find that video and get that evidence. But I think a lot of people know about it. They don't actually deny it. It's not something they deny. But you're going to want the receipts before. Um,
Yeah, of course. Like
yeah, yeah,
I mean, something as big as that, that's significant, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't. So, for example, they're infamous for misrepresenting Christians. I'm not
yeah.
infamous for misrepresenting them. I don't want to misrepresent the opposing side.
Right,
I want people
right.
to know. Hear me out.
Hmm.
I want people to have a steelman perspective of the people that I'm criticizing. So steel manning and straw manning. So straw manning is a mischaracterization of a person's position or argument. Steel manning
Right,
is a literally what it sounds like. It's a man made of steel. It's a strong representation of that person's position. Whereas straw manning is a weak representation, just like a man made out of straw, like very
right,
weak,
right.
able to be knocked over. I want to
Yeah,
have a steel man of my opponent's position. So this way people know exactly what they believe and where the actual errors are. One thing I don't
right,
want to do, and I'm not accusing you of this, I'm just saying one thing I don't want to do is misrepresent my
right.
opponents simply because I disagree with them. You understand me?
I understand what you're saying. Right, and I will try and get the receipts to go, clarify. Uh, because it is a strong statement to say that they said that prophecy. Because um, what you're thinking is that you can't just um, have me saying that kind of allegation without any receipts. You see, I understand that, but
Yeah.
they don't deny it. I know for a fact they don't deny it. But I will try and locate that video.
So I have
I don't.
I have access to Tazariak via Clubhouse. I used to have
Yeah.
his number, but I don't remember what his number is anymore, and I don't have his name
Do-
saved. So, but no, let me
yeah.
finish. Let me finish. So
Yeah.
I could try to reach out to him on Clubhouse and ask him directly
Right.
if the ISUPK has that teaching. Now, if he tells me no, they don't, and you insist that they do, then this is where you would have to
Where
have the
things
video
get
for
messy,
me to.
right? So you need to, right, right. Did you see the debate with Tazariak and Sam Shimon?
Yes, I did.
Right. Well, who did you think who won that? I thought Sam Shimon destroyed
Sam
him.
easily won that. Yes, Sam easily won
Right,
that.
right, right. I thought so as well. But a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, they think it's the other way around. I didn't see, I didn't believe that.
Well, no,
But
well, it depends on what Hebrew Israelite you're talking about. There are actually Hebrew Israelites that would agree with Sam's position that would say that he won because they believe
right.
Jesus is God. But
Oh yeah.
what I would say though is, but going back to that point, because what you said, and I want this to be on record because this is a live stream.
Right.
I'm not doubting you. I'm not calling you
Yeah.
crazy or anything like that. But I do
No,
think that
no.
it's important that it is important that you if you can get me that video. So
Right.
even if you can't get it while this stream is going, if you
Yeah.
could post it in the comments after the stream is done,
Right.
that would be really helpful. If not, then I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
With
yeah. I
with
hear
all due
what you're
respect,
saying.
I can't take that as evidence. I
It's
can't just take.
evidence. Right.
Yeah, just
I
you
mean,
telling me. as
Yeah,
evidence. You can't do that.
where is it? Passover's coming soon. Like, wait, it's around April time. Passover, and I'm sure you must have. I mean, some of the shenanigans, what's going on with some of them. I'm sure you're fully aware of Sakari. I think they're based on the West Coast, either Seattle
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah,
then. And they had a Passover in a nightclub. Now, what's interesting
yeah.
is
I have a video on my channel covering that too
right.
from 4 years ago,
Yeah,
four
yeah,
or 5 years ago. Yeah.
right. What's interesting is I just want to say this. There's a lot of hate amongst each other. Um, there's two major things I have a problem with the Hebrew Israelites. One, they're bending scriptures to suit their agenda, just like Tazariot was doing in the debate. Um, there's another issue as well. They say that they're Israelites, but they hate Israel, the land. That's another thing, which where now there's a doctrine saying that Israel's in America. I know it sounds crazy, but there is people believing that look, the Israel was made up in night. The Israel, what we know as Israel with Jerusalem and what the world knows as Israel, they believe that that's fake. That was created in 1948. That Israel is America, right? And they actually, they hate, the white people or anything to do with Israel because when the war broke out on October the 7th in 2023 with Hamas, a lot of the Israelite brothers and sisters were supporting the Palestinians. And I was talking to a black converted Jew, and he was shocked by that. And I said, well, that just shows you, right? I don't think they're, real Jews at all. I think it's the whole thing's
You
fake.
who do you not think is real Jews?
No, no, this brother is American brother who's converted to Judaism, right?
Okay. No,
He
no, but
was
you said you
saying
don't think you said but something about you
they
don't
don't
think
think,
they're real
yeah,
Jews?
yeah. So the Israelites
Yeah, but brother,
say,
you're kind of all over the place because I'm trying to
no, 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 I'm trying,
because
no, you're not letting me speak, right? The Hebrew Israelites,
you've been doing most of the talking the entire time, man. I don't know if you realize
you're
that.
not giving me a chance, right? You're so focused on debunking the Hebrew Israelites that
I'm
I'm
not
with
focused
you,
on
I'm on
bro.
your side, but
No,
you're not
no.
giving me the chance to go and explain.
I know you're on my side, but like you're saying a lot. You're saying a lot of different things, so it's kind of hard to track everything because you're jumping
Right,
from
I'm gonna be
topic to
clear,
topic.
right? What I'm saying is, right, is that the Hebrew Israelites, mainly in America, they hate the land Israel,
Hmm.
whether
Okay.
they're one West or whether they have a doctrine where they believe that America is Israel. 95% of Israelites hate
Did he cut out?
Israel.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Now I can hear you now.
I said that 95% of Israelites, Hebrew Israelites or black Hebrew Israelites, right? The brothers, what you see on the street preaching, they hate Israel, the land Israel.
No, no. Let me stop you there, man. No, no, because you're
I'm telling
talking
you that.
to
I
brother.
go
You're
to Israel.
talking.
Listen, brother, I
You're
go to Israel three
can I
times a
let
year.
me I hear you. Let me just stop you. So you're talking to men who were formerly deceived by the doctrine. So when what you're saying is inaccurate. So there aren't Hebrew Israelites that hate the land of Israel. No. There are Hebrew Israelites that very much think that's their land and that they're gonna live there in the future because Christ is gonna give
No,
them like those. Wait, let me
no, no,
finish.
no, no, no. That's
I'm
it.
gonna
Yeah,
finish my
yeah, go
I'm
on.
gonna finish my I'm
Yeah,
gonna finish my I'm gonna finish my thought. If
yeah.
I get interrupted again, I'm gonna finish, and you're gonna hear willful, well, against your will, you're
Mhm.
gonna listen. That's what's gonna. It's gonna happen like this. You see how that happened? I don't want to do that to you, so I'd like to finish
Okay.
my thought. Okay, so I'd like to finish my thought. And Willie, you can back me up on this, brother Willie. Are you there,
Yeah, I'm here.
brother Willie? In the ICGJC, the members of the ICGJC say that they hated the land of Israel, like specifically the land of Israel.
Oh no, no, they no, they believe that that's their homeland and that they're gonna in the case of ICGJC specifically, they believe that during the second Exodus that Tazadaki is gonna come back with spiritual power and lead them to the land of Israel as one of the two witnesses.
Yes. Yeah, so when you no disrespect to you, Byron, but when you
Yeah.
say that not, the majority of Hebrew Israelites, no, bro. I've spoken with
Yep.
enough Hebrew Israelites where they sincerely believe that that land is their land and that they're gonna be there at some point in the future because they think that God is gonna bring them back to the land or whatever the case is. So when you say that when you start talking like that, brother, that starts to kind of sound like okay, this guy doesn't seem to know what he's talking about when you start saying things like that.
That's what you think, but I'm gonna drop something on you, right? They would if you talk to an Israelite,
Byron, real quick,
just say
before you go on,
A one
Byron,
West Israelite,
wait,
right? You know
Byron,
the
before
brother.
you go, wait, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go on.
before you go on, were you ever in a camp?
No,
Okay,
never in the camp,
this brother here was in a camp.
right?
He actually was in a camp. How many years were you in ICGJC, brother Willie, so he can hear you?
22.
22 years. In 22 years, did the ICGJC ever teach that they hated the land of Israel?
No.
Exactly. And
Right.
I've
So
spoken with
hold on,
members of
brother.
GM. Wait, wait, no, I'm not. No,
You're
I'm
not
going to
letting
give
me
you more
finish.
receipts.
Yeah, go
So
on.
I can bring in former members of IUIC. I can bring in former members, former, because they're no longer
Uh-huh.
with them. But even they're going to tell you, nah, man, the group that I was a part of didn't teach that. The majority of Hebrew Israelites have a favorable view that that is their land and they're going to live there. So when you say things like that, that makes me think that because you weren't a member of a formal organization, maybe you just don't know the ins and outs of specifically the organized groups and how they think. Maybe the guys that you were around may have believed that, like guys that they call individualites, guys that aren't members of
Yeah.
that weren't members of formal groups. But the
Uh-huh.
guys that were actually in groups, that's not what their teachers were teaching.
Right. I hear what you're saying. Right. So the brother who's in what's the long verb, the IC, that's the one with the comforter, right? He was the head guy.
Yeah, the
Like that's the
so-called,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
was the guy what passed away, what Corona took
COVID.
him, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah, yeah, I know about him. Now they might have that teaching, but they've all got different teachings, different doctrines.
IUIC. So there's a brother there's several brothers that I've interviewed from IUIC, and none of them have ever told me, yeah, they had an unfavorable view of the land of Israel. They all believe that they're in this, the second Exodus, that they're going to leave this land, they're going to
Uh-huh.
go to the wilderness, then they're going to go back into the land of Israel, the actual land of Israel over there,
Yeah.
like every one of the
And
One
do they
West
believe
camps
and do
that
they
I've
but there's people in the land of Israel now, so what's going to happen to them? They're going to say that they're going to be destroyed. That Yahweh
there,
is going to come and destroy
so
it, and that a new
yeah,
Jerusalem's
but
going to come out. That's what they're saying. So they're saying that that land is cursed
no, no,
right
no.
now.
They would say that the new heavens and the new earth would come later, but that land is their land. They're going to say that they don't have to be there now because when
Yeah,
Christ comes back, Christ is the
right.
one that's going to lead them back to the land. That's how they usually posit their beliefs. Like if you
Mhm.
know anything about the camps, but what
Right.
now? I'm not
But
saying
not
that
every
you don't
camp. But
have.
not every
Wait,
camp.
let me finish.
You're assuming that every camp
So
has that doctrine.
well, I could say very confidently the majority of the camps absolutely have that viewpoint, for sure, for sure. Now, if you disagree, what camp are you thinking of that doesn't have that viewpoint?
I would say most of them. I think most of them. They might say what you just said, that that's what they're waiting for. They're saying that Christ is going to come and that. But as for the land, as for the land of Israel now, they will say that's a cursed land. They will say that the people in there are Edomites, they're the false people in there, and then you got the Arabs as well. They will turn around and say, look, you know, forget about that land, right? But I've talked to many people. I was having an argument with a sister just the other day, and she was adamant. She even showed me a map of America and saying, well, Lebanon is near Canada, and she
No, no. So,
complete
so we're clear.
distortion.
So hear me out for a
Yeah,
second. So I'm aware that within Hebrew Israelism you have diversity. You're talking more the
yeah,
individualites, the people that are not the camps. So, like for example, you
mm,
have people that will have like their own little kind of thing going on where it's just them. Sometimes it's like maybe a husband and wife duo. Maybe
right,
they might be a part of a smaller, less organized group. But generally speaking, now for example, you have groups that think the land of Israel is in Africa, and they'll make
Correct.
this argument for maps.
Yeah. Right.
You have some that believe that um, uh, so you have a
Jerusalem's in
couple that
Peru.
hold on, no, let me finish.
Yeah.
They'll
Go on.
say that the Holy Land is in the Philippines. No,
Right.
I'm aware that you have groups out there that have diversity of
Yeah.
thought, but
Yeah.
what I'm referring to specifically are the camps. So we're
Right. One
clear in
West
that.
comes.
If we're
Right. Right.
talking about the camps, because you were saying
Mhm.
the majority of the Hebrew Israelites, but if we're talking about sheer numbers, the
Right.
campers tend to have the most numbers. Now, if we're talking about all of them collectively put together, they tend to have more numbers than everybody else
So
as a
that's
whole.
interesting. So basically, yeah. So basically, what you're saying is within the Hebrew Israelites,
Hmm.
whether they're Torah Tanakh, whether they're Torah only, you'll because I agree with that. The face of Hebrew Israelitism is one West.
When you say they don't like the land of Israel, yes, somebody pointed this out because I think there might be, and Willie, you pointed this out. He says the Hebrew Israelites hate the land of Israel, which is wrong. Does he actually mean the state of Israel? And then uh Obama
I think,
Dread says
yeah, I
Israel
think
and the
it is
state
the
of Israel are
state of
not the same
Israel.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
right. I think it is the
if you're
state of
saying the
Israel.
state of if you're saying the state of Israel, that's
Right.
different. Yeah,
Right.
that's different.
Because here's the thing you see, right, is this,
Wait,
you've got the
because
people.
if I could just stop you, because even for the ones that think Israel is in the land of Africa, they still think that's Israel. So they can't quote unquote hate Israel if they're longing to be in quote unquote Israel. So no, I think what
Right.
you meant to be more exact is the state
The
of
state of
Israel, like
right, right.
the
So
Israeli state. That's what you're referring to.
right, right. That's correct. And that's why a lot of Israelites were supporting, on October the 7th, they were supporting Palestine.
Okay. Well,
There was a
so
lot of, yeah, right, because they were saying, because they hate the state of Israel, which, you
mhm.
know, would would make sense in a roundabout way. If you hate the state of Israel and you believe that the people in the state of Israel are false Jews and that the real Jews are the people who come from the transatlantic slave, that would all mar up. Would we agree or disagree to that?
I'm sorry because you're saying so much, like so you're kind of losing me
Right.
now.
No,
You're
no, I'm not
asking a
losing yet.
question, but
So,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right then. Say the state of Israel, right? Call it the state
Uh
of
huh.
Israel. Present day Israel is the
Wait, what
state
are
of
we
Israel.
talking about exactly right now? Because you're saying a lot of different things.
No,
What are
what I'm
we
saying
talking about
is,
specifically?
what? No, you said to me, right, that
Hmm.
you disagree that Hebrew Israelites don't hate the land of Israel. What I'm
No,
saying
no,
to
because
you
when you
is,
said the land of Israel, what you meant to say was the state of Israel. Now, if we're talking, we're talking about the government that's currently in that land. Now, in that case, yes,
yeah,
a significant amount of Hebrew Israelites do not like the state of Israel.
right.
Like I'd
So,
venture to say, like the majority of Hebrew Israelites don't like the state of Israel.
so is the state of Israel Israel, or is it a political
The
thing?
government,
What's going on?
yeah, the political, yeah, the government, the polity, the government that's there now.
Right.
Yeah, look,
So,
I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one.
what about the people in
Wait,
Demona? What about the
can
people?
you can
Hold on.
brother? I'm gonna mute your mic for a second so you can see the comment. Do you see what Brandon says? Do me a favor here. I'm gonna unmute. Okay, so could you read Brandon's comment because I want to make sure that you're tracking that I'm not the only one that's having this issue. Do you see what Brandon says?
He
I
says that
can't follow
I'm
along.
all over the place. Right. He said,
You're
I hear
all
what
over
he's
the
saying.
place.
Right. You're saying
Okay, so
what?
I'm not
Okay. To
the only
break that.
person that
What?
thinks
No,
that you're all over the place right now.
why am I all over the place? Tell me why I'm all over the place.
Because you're jumping from topic to topic to topic to
I'm
topic.
not
Like we're
jumping from
jumping all
topic
over the
to
place.
topic. No,
We
you
are
said,
jumping from
hear me
topic
out,
to
hear me
topic.
out. You said, let me say this. I said to you that the
Hmm.
majority of Israelites, right, hate
Hate the
Israel,
land of Israel, and we had to
hate the
correct you,
land of
which you
Israel.
meant to
Yeah,
say
right.
the state
That's
of
right.
Israel.
Right, right. So what I'm saying, so you're saying, so then you say that well, maybe I've got it wrong or misinterpreted that most
And you did,
Israelites
and
hate the
you worded that. Okay, but here's the thing: you never
state of
clarified
Israel.
and said, "Can you stop for a second?" You never
Uh,
clarified to say you meant the government that's over there. What you were talking about was the land itself, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And then you
Yeah.
mentioned that, well, some people think that
I'm
Israel's
not,
in the land of Africa. No, no, I need you
right.
to stop because I
No,
need you to pay
no, I'm
attention to
listening.
how.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay,
Carry
here
on.
I'm gonna help you mute your mic. This way we can ensure that you can hear. So when then you said, well, the land of Israel, some people think it's in the land of Africa. So you were at first thinking of the land, but then I guess when someone brought it to your attention, does he mean the state of Israel? Maybe you just weren't articulating yourself. You said, yeah, yeah, that's what I really meant. Okay, if that's what you really meant, fine. Now we've like jumped to something else because you're can we kind of stay focused on one thing rather than like every 3 seconds it's like because it's very scatterbrained. It's like 1 second we're talking about this, then we're talking about that, then we're talking about this and that and that. It's like, and it's kind of hard to track everything that you're saying. And no disrespect to you, I'm just being honest, and I'm not the only person that feels that way. There are some in the audience that are experiencing the same thing, man. That's why that comment is on the screen. Okay, so let's try to stay focused on one thing at a time, please. All right, sound good?
Right. So you're
Sound good?
muted me. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Right. So when you
Yeah.
say I'm scattered all over the place, right? As soon as I mentioned Demona, you said I'm scattered all over the place. The people in
Mm-hmm.
Demona are Israelites, correct? There's a community. There's 2,000 Black
Yeah,
American
yeah,
uh,
that live in Demona.
people
Yeah,
live in
that were
Demona.
brought in by Ben Ami Carter. Yeah, of course.
Correct. Yeah, I've been there and I've visited them on numerous occasions. Right. So
Hmm.
they're Israelites, but they're not One West Israelites, correct?
Of course, they're not one West Israelites. They predate them. Yeah.
They predate them.
Yes.
How did they predate them?
What do you mean? How
When
do
did
they
when did
predate
when
them?
did so
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 the one West.
how did it
Can you can
go
you can
on?
you hear me,
Yeah, go on.
bro? You sound very contentious right now. Why are you this contentious? Like I
No,
don't
because you
understand
just
why.
you just said something that the
Uh huh.
okay, when did One West Israelites form?
Around the late '60s and leading into the early '70s. Yeah.
When did the people when did Ben
So
Amin came
generally,
on the block?
so if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was like around this, like maybe 66, and One West was like around 69, perhaps.
Right.
Because I know Ben Ami moved to Liberia around like maybe 67. So, but it seems that his movement was in. Now, to be fair, Abba Bibbins came out of the Commandment Keepers, but the Commandment Keepers didn't have the same set of beliefs that Abba Bibbin does currently, or that he had at the time.
Right.
So, regardless, let's just say even if both groups were contemporaneous to each other, the Demona community wasn't derived from One West. They were an independent group apart from One West, right?
Okay. Do you so is your issue with the Hebrew Israelites? Do you believe I know you believe it's a false doctrine. Agreed?
Of
We both
course.
agree on that. Right? But do you believe you haven't got a problem with brothers and sisters or anybody of any nationality claiming Israel, claiming that they're Israelites, or you do have a problem with that? So do you
What do
think
you
it's
mean
do
when
you
you
think
say claiming Israel? So this way we can, because
yeah, right.
I hold to
Claiming
the
yeah, go
so
on.
you understand my position. I hold to the ecclesiastical position of Israel, which is the church. I believe the true
Right,
Israel is the church. So anybody can be a part of the true Israel, which is the Christian church. But
right.
but when you mean Israel, you mean physical descendants of Jacob? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, well, that's what they believe, don't they? They believe that they have a 12 tribe chart, which most people believe is false, which was created by Arya, right?
You're talking about the One West. So now we kind of, because we went from Demona now to back to One West. Like
Yeah,
this is what I'm
no,
saying. Like, could we just hold on? Let me stop you for a moment. You
right.
just brought up the Demona community. What was the significance of Demona, if you don't mind me asking? Because obviously you brought them up. What was the
Because
significance of it?
I think there is a I believe there's almost like two different types of Hebrew Israelites. I believe that the people in Demona, like what you've just said, is a total different doctrine and a different belief system and the way how they move
Hmm.
to the One West. I actually believe that both of them are false. I do believe
Okay.
that, but my thing is like you're saying that to be Israel or spiritual Israel is through the church. But
Hmm.
when you talk to a One West Israelite, he's saying that look, I'm from a Black American, you're from the tribe of Judah. If you're Caribbean, you're from the tribe of Benjamin, right?
Hmm.
So basically, what they're claiming, they're saying that they're the real Jews due to what is it, Deuteronomy 28. That's where
Mm.
what they're claiming. What you're saying is that's false. My thing, what I have a problem is their conduct. I don't like their conduct, if that makes forcing
Do
white
you
people
do
to
you
know.
believe their claims of being Israelites are true? Do you believe that's true?
I believe that I if they claim it, I haven't got a problem with anybody claiming Israel, to be
No, no,
perfectly
I'm not
honest.
saying if you have a problem. So we
Yeah,
understand that you. I'm not saying if
yeah,
you personally have an issue.
yeah.
It's one thing to say you don't have an issue. It's another thing to say, do you think that their statement is factual?
I would say that I don't think their statement is factual,
Okay.
right? And the reason why I don't think it's factual is more to do with one, the doctrine is a lie, and just their conduct,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
Yeah.
it is possible um, for a person, if, in other words, I don't believe that Ashkenazi Jews can prove that they're from Moses, and they would turn around and say, well, look, we believe in Judaism, and following Judaism and going through the customs and everything, that you become a Jew. I don't believe that is true, you know, linkage to Moses, but they think that you can become a Jew through conversion, right?
Do you
And they've
believe
been
that a
doing it for a
person
long
can
time.
become a do you believe a person can become a Jew through conversion, biblically speaking?
I think in the book of Esther, that did happen, right? So in other words, you can convert to Judaism, but if you convert to Judaism, it's like a spiritual thing rather than a biological thing. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Repeat that one more time. Repeat that just one more time.
I believe. Well, it's kind of confusing. So in other
No,
words,
can you repeat what you just said just now? Could you just repeat that? Because I wanted to catch it again.
right? What I'm saying is that in the book of Esther,
Mm-hmm.
it shows conversion, that you can convert to being
Yeah.
a Jew, right?
Right. Yeah.
The Jews, a lot of the Jews are mainly um, Ashkenazi Jews from Russian, Polish, Eastern European descent. They convert to Judaism, right? And they
Okay.
believe that they're Jews through Judaism, just like you have black Ashkenazi Jews.
So
You
here's
know,
the thing, right? So because you're saying a
right,
lot, and I think it's
right,
showing maybe an unfamiliarity. So
right,
the current rabbinic spectrum itself is an outgrowth of Pharisaic Judaism. You know, the same Judaism that existed in the time of Jesus, the same Judaism that Paul himself came out of. So,
right.
are you familiar that Judaism proper, that term Judaism, the Greek term Judaismo, is literally in the biblical text in Galatians chapter 1, when Paul says that he was advancing above his peers in the Jews' religion. So if you read the King James, it'll say the Jews' religion. When you look at that Greek phrase there, it's the phrase Judaismo. That same
Right.
phrase, Judaismo, is translated Judaism in the King James Version of the
Right.
Apocrypha, in specifically the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 21, where it says that the people fought manfully for the honor of Judaism, and it'll literally use the word Judaism in the English. Now,
Right. Okay.
so meaning Judaism existed during that time. Now I'm not advocating for Judaism. I'm advocating for
Yeah.
Christianity, which is the
Right.
belief that was founded by the community of Jesus, which was started with the first followers of Christ, who were the
Right.
Israelite followers, and then extended onto the Gentile believers. And the reason I'm bringing
Right.
this up is because um,
Mhm.
when you mention uh, that these people are whatever converts or whatever the case is,
Yeah.
fam, you had converts living in the land of Israel during the time of Christ, before the time of Christ,
Yeah.
in the old covenant, in Deuteronomy 29:14, Esther 8:17. All of that
Yeah.
is biblical. So
Yeah. I
that
haven't got a
wasn't
problem. Yeah.
what
I
I
haven't got a problem. Yeah. I haven't got a problem with people being converts, to be honest. Right.
yeah, but
And I
I'm not saying you have a I'm not
and yeah,
saying
and
bro, fam,
yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah. Go
finish
on.
my thought because I was still talking.
Yeah. Karen.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because when you say, well, they're saying that they come from Moses. Well, no, there are a lot of those folks on the rabbinic spectrum that are going to tell you that no, just being a part of the community, having either a formal conversion or having a mother who's a Jew makes you a Jew, regardless of whether you descended or have any connection physically to Moses or not.
Mhm.
Do you understand?
I understand. Tell me something then. So, do you believe? So your problem. So your issue is that do you think that the Hebrew Israelites, Messianic Hebrew Israelites, um, one West Israel Hebrew Israelites, one it's a false doctrine, but do you also look at their conduct as well? The way are they?
Of
You
course
know,
I look at everything. So the conduct is bad, the doctrines are bad, the understanding of scripture that they have is false. So
right?
it's not just merely, oh, the doctrines are wrong. They're hold on 1 second. Yeah. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Oops.
Okay.
Give me a second. I spelled that. Hold on. Give me one moment. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. So the the one West doctrines are wrong. The
All right, right,
conduct is wrong.
right.
But one Westers aren't the only ones that have poor conduct, right? I think you can agree that they're not the only ones that have bad conduct in the Hebrew Israelite
Right.
community.
Right. That I do agree. I agree. You know, you have Muslims over here who have bad conduct as well, right?
Yeah, but we're not talking about Muslims. We know
Muslims,
that
right?
there are a bunch of Muslims with bad conduct, but like I said, let's stay focused, man, because I noticed
No,
I noticed that you like to veer off into different lanes, man. Let's stay
no, no,
focused on
no,
one
no.
thing.
Right. So here's the thing then. So we both agree that one, the doctrine's false, and one, they've
Hmm.
got bad. A lot of them have bad, conduct. Can I ask you
Yes,
another question? Is
sure.
the Hebrew Israelite movement, is it growing or is it fading out? Because I know that
So in
IUIC is,
this,
very
so
big.
so the Hebrew Israelite movement, unfortunately, is growing on social media. There are a lot of people who are beguiled by it, and that's the need for doing apologetics,
Right.
specifically for us as Christians, Christian apologetics against this falsehood.
I'm
So
surprised that you.
there's
I'm
a
surprised what you said.
well, it's not a surprise; it's a reality.
It's growing.
Yes,
I thought it'd be. I'm sure I watched a blog with Vocab Malone, and he thought it. He thought it was starting to
friend,
decline.
I'm friends with Vocab. I speak with him often. Vocab would agree. Like I can literally, if you don't believe me, I
No,
can actually show you a
no,
video clip where
I
he
believe
says the
what you're
same thing I'm
saying.
saying.
Yeah, I'm just surprised what you're saying because in England, I think it's starting to decline. It was growing,
Well,
very
yeah,
big, but
but
it's starting to decline in England.
so I can't speak to England, but I can certainly
Right,
speak to the United States. And the United States is a very big place, as you well
right,
know. And
right.
over here, it is certainly growing.
Wow, surprised, surprised like that. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing, brother.
Hmm.
That it's growing. Wow. Anyway, sorry for interrupting, and I think
No,
we
no, no.
did
You're
get.
you're more than welcome. I just
Yeah.
and forgive me. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be disrespectful to you. It's just it's
I'm
like
gonna
we were
try and get the
jumping.
receipts. I'm gonna try and get the receipts. What
I
you
hear
want
you.
to
I hear
do?
you. I just wanted you to hear me though. Like it was just hard to track a lot of what you were saying because it felt like we were jumping from one thing to the next, and
Right,
it didn't feel like like one
right.
second we're talking about this and then be like the next second
Yeah,
it's like it'd be something else, and I was like, well, wait, are we still talking about this other thing, or what are
right.
we talking about? No disrespect to you, man. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe it's your first time in the live stream, so sometimes the butterflies,
yeah.
nerves
I,
kicking, and the
I
people.
still, no, it's not butterfly. I still, they might say that, going back to the land of Israel or even the state of Israel, right? Because I know you're going to say it's two different things: the state of
Well, the
Israel, the
state of
state of
Israel,
Israel,
this, yeah,
right?
the
Yeah,
land itself is one thing because they'll say that the inheritance of the land belongs to them, so called. But the
right.
state of Israel, they would say, is the what they would consider to be the
This is
noun, and they'll say that's
Zionism,
not the true government.
right, right.
Yeah, from their
Zionism
viewpoint, they
and
would say it's the
Theodore
false government.
Herzl and right, right, right. Right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, brother. I'm going to try and find a receipt for you.
Okay, I appreciate that,
For
man.
that. And there's no. I don't deal with making false um, claims at all. I understand your position because you're
Yep.
going to say, well, look, a random
Uh-huh.
caller from England said this, and he's got no receipts. But I am going to try and find the receipts. You know
No,
that,
I'm gonna be so transparent with you right now. What you
yeah,
told me, I'm not taking that as a fact at all. Like until I
yeah,
see anything concrete,
right, right,
I'm never
right,
gonna just be like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
this guy came in there and he said this, therefore I'm just gonna, I'm not that kind of person, man. I like to fact check my stuff.
right, right. So do you know the brother Zion Lex?
Yes.
Now, Zion Lex, he's a very interesting brother, good knowledgeable brother. But I think he's having a debate. That's going to be an interesting one. He's having a debate with Tazariak because they're arguing over the language.
What are
That's
they gonna
another
have a
point.
debate on? What are they gonna
The
have a debate
language,
on?
the language.
Oh, wait a minute. So,
The la-
that's fascinating because I've been trying to call out members of the ISUPK on that topic for years. So, okay, that's
Right,
interesting that he actually agreed to do a debate with Zion Lex on Lashawan
right,
on that fake Hebrew because that dialect
yeah.
is a fake dialect.
Right. That right, right. So that's another point right there. So you've got a fake doctrine,
I'm
bad conduct,
I'm not the
and a fake
biggest fan
language.
of Zion Lex's interpretations in a lot of areas. So like I wouldn't
Yeah,
recommend people to go to his channel because I think he has a lot of unsound ideas still. But
right,
progress is a good thing, and he
right,
embraced a belief in Christ as being Messiah, though his view
right,
of Christ is still not an orthodox view in terms of what he's
right,
denying. I don't think he believes in the deity of Christ, and that's never
right,
a good thing.
right.
But that's really fascinating that he's having a debate. But to all things, because I don't even if I don't agree with him in terms of our religious ideas,
Yes.
I
Right,
I
yeah,
will
so,
say though his criticisms of Lashawan Quadash are valid criticisms. I'm saying that about
right,
Zion Lex's criticisms.
right,
So I can at least give him that when he's
yeah,
criticizing that dialect, what he's
yeah,
saying, his objections are valid objections
yeah.
against it.
Be- because there is a split in the camp because of the language. I think you know Sikari. I think they changed some of the. There's a split in Sikari now. They're Genesis. I don't know if you heard of a
Yeah,
guy called Deacon.
yeah,
But yeah, he's a
brother.
rapper.
Listen,
Yeah.
to me, brother. Do me a favor. So when this stream is done, I want you to so
Hello,
I'm
I
aware of the
lost you there.
split. Can you hear me? Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Are you aware of
Yeah.
this?
So
You're aware of the split,
I'm very extremely familiar with the split. In fact, the day that it happened, I was made aware of it because there's a brother who watches their channels and let me know about it. So I'm well familiar with all the
familiar
ins
with it,
and outs
right?
that take place in the Hebrew Israelite community, man.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I cover them
yeah.
on my channel. I have videos dealing with them. You know what I mean,
All right, you've got videos dealing with Deacon and
brother?
Xilex.
You do know that that you're on my YouTube channel right now, right? This is my my
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
channel.
yeah. Right, I know.
So I want you to
Right.
do me a favor. I have a bunch of
Mhm.
playlists. I have a bunch of videos there. I have a bunch of if you go to the video tab, if you're using your phone, just click on the video tab portion and you'll see a myriad of videos covering a large portion of topics dealing with
Right.
the different groups, the splinters, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
I'm very much aware with that Genesis is Hakah and Hassad's group, the splinter group from Sakari.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more question? Right. You know, there's a
Hmm.
brother who was connected to the Comforter. Um, right. Is he still in the live stream? Is
Yeah,
he
the brother
still with?
Willie. Yeah, he's still
Yeah,
here.
brother Willie, is has he left them or is he still with
N-
them?
No,
He was still,
he's long. Well, not long. I mean, you left. It was last year, right? Late last year, brother Willie.
November of last year.
Yeah, of this year that passed, 2025. So
right.
yeah,
And they're still going. Is that camp still going?
Yeah,
That
they
group.
are. Yeah. They're still around, but it's like they not like they were back in their heyday, like 10,
Right.
15 years ago. they've been relegated to having ever since COVID, they've been having Sabbath conference calls on Friday nights and Saturday all day, but they still haven't gone back inside any of their physical locations for worship on the Sabbath.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and it's weird because high holy days that aren't Sabbath or Passover, they've been opening back up like ever since like 2023. But for the Sabbath, they're still relegated to conference calls. It's
Wow,
weird.
it's sad. And they used to have a big Sabbath, I mean, a big Passover. You know, I saw it on YouTube, a huge one where they had the flags coming in, um,
Yeah,
and that the comforter. Yeah, I remember it's a really big Passover. So it sounds like you know, since the comforters left, it's like it's fragmented. It's like it's crumbling slightly, slowly.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people left after 2020, and that
Yeah,
as with evidence of me leaving, that's proof that people are still leaving. So,
right.
um,
Is Aria still alive?
yes, he is.
He is. Wow. And is he still like connected to the church?
I'm not sure, but I don't. I've
Because
heard
he's
stuff.
getting on. He's getting on in age, right?
Yeah. He ought to be in his like mid 80s by now.
Yeah. Right. He's still around.
Real, real quick, Byron, just because you had
Yeah.
brought it up at the very beginning, I didn't know that you attended Joy Morgan's funeral, man.
Yeah, I did. And there was a massive scandal. That was there was a lot of things
No, no,
was
I'm
going on. It
aware of
was
the Joy Morgan situation. I just wasn't, for those who don't know, Joy Morgan was a woman who was a member of IUIC, and she
correct.
was unalived. Remember we're in the live stream, so I don't want my channel to get hit. She was
Yeah.
unalived by another person who was a member of IUIC in London, right? They were both
Correct.
members of IUIC London, and she
Yeah.
was unalived in 2019, and
2018,
20 well,
2018.
you're right, it was 2018, and then it was publicized in 2019. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so unfortunately, that was a very controversial thing. I thought
Right.
IUIC handled it horribly,
They did.
and it was also in part why they lost a significant amount of members during that time frame, and specifically 2019.
Right.
um so yeah, man, but I didn't know that you had attended her funeral, man. That's
I went to a
yeah.
funeral. I talked to her brother and the mother. The mother actually banned all Israelites because she didn't understand the Israelite movement. She had no inkling of it, and that
Okay.
she just looked on it that her daughter had joined some kind of sect, right? And had
Mm.
no inkling. Me and another sister, we had to break it down to her, you know, exactly what was going on, and that it was like she's followed a doctrine which came from America. What a lot of people don't understand is that Joy Morgan was leaving IUIC, right?
I don't know about that, man. I don't know
Oh,
about that.
definitely, 100%, 100%. She was
How,
leaving.
how do you know that she was leaving?
But there's videos on there. There's IUIC video people talk. She was definitely. Well, I don't want to say sort of like
Well,
scenarios,
look here, Byron.
but
Look.
but definitely she was
So
definitely leaving
I
IUIC.
I don't know if she was
IUIC.
leaving IUIC, but we certainly agree to disagree. If because from all the evidence that I gathered at the time, it seemed that she was very much still with them. She was adamantly a part of them, and it's precisely
No,
why this guy was able to manipulate her. Uh, there seemed to be something.
no, she went missing. She went missing for
I know she yes, but she.
yeah.
So you looked at the investigation that was done, right?
Yeah, okay, right. You might have heard it
Okay,
different
so
to
let's
how I'm
just
hearing it.
wait. So I
Yeah.
want you to do me a favor. Let's just leave it there because I can already sense this shifting to something else, man.
No, no,
And
no, no. You
I
mentioned
hear you, but
whatever.
I hear you, but all I'm gonna say is that, but I don't agree with that she was gonna leave IUIC. I certainly
I'm
don't agree with
surprised
that.
you say that. I'm surprised you're saying that.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't think
But
she
anyway,
was
okay,
gonna
you
leave
believe what you
IUIC.
want to believe. We have a different takeover here
Uh
on
huh.
that, right? But
Hmm.
either way, what we will agree was that she was murdered. That we know. right? And
Yeah.
the guy
Yeah, yeah.
was,
Remember we're on YouTube, man. Let's,
oh, it's
unalived.
official, it's unalive. It's official, over
Yeah,
here.
yeah. But
It,
just because I don't want you because of you that my channel gets, flagged. So
oh no, no,
let's
no,
keep the
sorry.
language.
There's a Joy Morgan documentary on YouTube, which
I know, man. Yeah, man.
right
But
details
anyways,
it, details it.
Byron,
But,
so listen, man, we wanna bring some Hebrew Israelites in here. I do appreciate you for
yeah,
coming through though, man. I
yeah,
do
yeah, yeah,
appreciate it,
yeah.
man.
I wanted to because right, it's interesting, but keep doing your thing. I agree with
Yeah,
you in that it's a false doctrine. I don't like people
yeah.
bending scriptures at all. I think it's the arrogance and how they are is very, very bad.
Hmm.
It's a lot worse than
I agree.
me articulating the words for it.
No, I
But
definitely agree.
it is what it is. And they all, and just one more thing before I go, they all hate each other. All the camps hate
Mm.
each other. You tell me any camp which gets on, they all hate
So
each other.
there are a significant amount of camps that don't like other camps. I won't say they all hate each other because obviously you have groups that try to do the unity camp thing, but
Yeah, yeah,
they certainly are hypocritical. I'll say that.
right.
Um, it's like a faux sense of unity,
Yeah.
but then
I tell you,
But
who's the
anyways, man.
nicest one. The
Yeah.
nicest one out of all of them, which is the biggest camp over here. One West Camp is GOCC.
You know what? There's a brother named George. He was formerly with GOCC Australia. They used to make trips out to the UK,
That's
and
correct.
he told me that they put in a lot of work. That GOCC put in a lot of work to try to grow their organization out there. How many? So I don't want you to dox yourself. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
you feel comfortable saying the city that you live in, but you don't have to say where you live in the UK, but
I can tell you
city
which
that
city
you
I'm
live in.
in. I'm in Birmingham,
Well,
which is the second. Birmingham is the second largest city in
are
England.
there a lot of members out there in Birmingham?
Yeah. Um, ISUPK is the biggest camp in Birmingham. London is
ISUPK, like wait, not
yeah.
IUIC?
No, not IUIC. No.
Huh.
Right. So in London, IUIC is big. The camp Joy Morgan was in, that's still going and that's still
Yeah,
thriving.
IUIC. Yeah.
Yeah, IUIC. They call it IUIC London, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, Up north, GOC, north of England, that's Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, those
Hmm.
areas there, is GOCC, right? And I believe that
Yeah.
GOCC is the biggest Israelite camp in England, and they've been going the longest, going well from the 80s, right?
Mm.
What's happened is when the sort of like the new One West camp after the split, when
But wait a minute, but
ISUPK,
this is going back to GOCC because I feel like we're kind of getting sidetracked. So
yeah, right. So
GOCC, their numbers are significantly big out there.
yeah, they're big in Birmingham. They're big in London. So not big in London, not so much as in London. They are in London, but I think overall GOCC is the biggest One West Israelite camp in England.
In the UK, yeah. Okay.
Right, right. But ISU, but in
In my
Birmingham,
opinion, doctrinally speaking, though, they're just as bad as the other groups. They're just a PG-13 version of the other camps. And if we're being
right,
honest, Genesis is kind of in their trajectory. They're kind of moving into that same direction. But
right,
Genesis, GOCC, all these groups are still heretical. These guys
right.
are
I
still
agree.
outside of the boundary of the body of Christ. They're not members of the body of Christ, unfortunately. So, and
Right,
people, if they're in these groups, man, I remain an enemy of everything that our spiritual enemy, Satan, promotes.
right.
So I'm against them, GOCC, just as much as I am Sakari, just as
Yeah.
much as I am Genesis, and all the other camps, man.
So what you're saying, the majority, so you have no problem with a person claiming to be Israel or an Israelite, but
Mm.
what you're saying is it's more the doctrine which is falsehood, or are you saying the whole thing is wrong? Just to say you're a Hebrew Israelite, that
So I
yeah,
think the claim that the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade as a majority are the Israelites is factually incorrect.
Right.
And now, if a person thinks that they're an Israelite personally, or that the people that were taken as slaves to the Americas are Israelites, I don't think that in and of itself is
It's
indicative of
bad.
a person's eternal standing with God. I think,
Right.
for example, Omar Thabou, I think, of School of Hebrews, they believe in the Trinity. They are functionally Christian. They have unsound ideas elsewhere, but at least in those in areas, they're still Christian. I would look at those groups and I would say, while they're incorrect, I wouldn't say that they're outside of the Christian faith. However,
Right.
most Hebrew Israelites are outside of the Christian faith simply because of what they deny, not because of who
Right.
they think they are. And
Right.
I do think that the identity claim is wrong, but the groups that think salvation is only for Israel, it's like twofolded. They're not only
Right.
wrong, but they're also promoting a heretical idea that salvation is only for the physical descendants of Jacob.
Right.
Those people, I believe, are not members of the body of Christ. They're not brothers and sisters in Christ. I wouldn't look at those
Right.
people as being members of the same body. So,
Right.
you know,
Okay. Much appreciated. I'll let you go. I'll let you do your thing, and
yeah.
yeah, I'll be watching your videos, and I will try and I'm going to try and
Well, I
do that right
appreciate it,
now.
bro.
Locate,
I appreciate
locate
you for coming through. I
ISUPK.
appreciate, yeah, yeah, I
Right.
appreciate, as you guys like to say in the UK, it was very lovely.
Yeah. All right.
Nah, man.
Okay. You.
Nah, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
It's all good, bro. Yeah,
Okay. You take care. Okay. Bye.
yeah,
Bye.
yeah. Take it easy, man. All right.
Bye.
Yep. All right, y'all. Brother Willie, man, is there anything that you wanted us to cover? Anything in particular, brother?
Um, let me think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did we ever go through those scriptures in Revelations 11:3? Was that on a? Did we already do that on a
Yes, I think we
previous?
did. We did in that previous live stream, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe we. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's cover something real quick. Okay. What doctrine, when you were in ICGJC, outside of the stuff we've already covered, right? We've covered Revelation 1:13 through 15, Deuteronomy 28:68, Jeremiah 17:4. What what doctrine do you think a lot of groups, especially those who are in camps, what was a doctrine that was like a stumbling block for you in particular?
Um, you think the two tights?
Okay, the double tithing.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a question, right? So looking at the double tide system that ICGJC had, what uh did they go to the passage where it says double honor, like that kind of thing?
No. They went to the Tobit first chapter. Um,
Okay, first
the
chapter. Uh-huh. Okay, I got you. I'm following. Go ahead.
Tobit chapter 1,
Yeah,
and let's see, Tobit chapter 1 and
chapter 1.
verse 6, starting at verse 6. Um, but I alone went often to Jerusalem at the feast, as it was ordained unto all the people of Israel by an everlasting decree, having the first fruits and tenths of increase, which that which was first shorn, and them gave I at the altar to the priests, the children of Aaron. The first tenth part
I'm
of
sorry.
all increase.
What's the verse one more time? I apologize. One more time. The verse.
Tobit 1 and 6, starting at verse 6, going to verse 7. Tobit 1, 6, and 7.
Just those two verses.
Yeah,
So okay, and then and I imagine in the King James version, right?
yeah.
So I'm looking at the NRSV. So I'm reading that. So I'm going to read at verse 6. But I alone went often to Jerusalem for the festivals, as it is prescribed for all Israel by an everlasting decree. I would hurry off to Jerusalem with the first fruit of the crops, and the firstlings of the flock, and the tithes of the cattle, and the first of the shearings of the sheep. I would give these to the priests, the sons of Aaron, at the altar. Likewise, the tenth of the grain, wine, olive oil, pomegranates, figs, and the rest of the fruits to the sons of Levi who ministered at Jerusalem. And also, every 6 years, I would save up a second tenth in money and go and distribute it each year in Jerusalem. Okay, and so that's what they're using right there, right? That specific portion.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna get back to you on this one because this is one of those that I know that there's something that they're getting wrong here because bro, these guys get everything wrong. But this is one of those that I'm actually gonna look into, and I'm certainly gonna get back to you on that one in particular. All right.
Okay. There was something else that
But I know that this has to be something that they're getting wrong, man, because I'm already looking at
yeah.
this and there's something there that I imagine that it'll have a very clear explanation because it would seem odd that the writer of Tobit would then be writing about a particular commandment that was like brand new that you can't even find in the Tanakh. You know, there
Right.
has to be some. It would be odd if you find no passage in the Tanakh that talks about like this kind of idea of, at least the way the ICGJC promotes it, the erroneous idea of like this double tithe.
Hmm.
And furthermore, wouldn't that tithing go to the Levites? I mean, if just reading this contextually, doesn't it posit the Levites when it says, "I would give these," verse 7, to the priests, the sons of Aaron, at the altar?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's saying.
Oh, look, I'm gonna keep reading. So I'm gonna keep reading this.
Uh-huh.
Likewise, the tenth in the grain, it says, I would save up a second tenth in money and go and distribute it each year in Jerusalem, giving it to the orphans and the widows and to the converts who had attached themselves to the Israelites. Did you look at verse 8? Giving it to the orphans and the widows and to the converts who had attached themselves to the Israelites. So that second tenth was for the widows. Here, let me, so you can see my screen, so you can see I'm not, so nobody can accuse me of making this up. Little bit of context is the killer of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. I think you know this by now, Willie. You see this?
I'm not seeing
Now,
your screen. Oh, okay. I
you
see
see
it
it
now.
now?
Uh-huh.
Let me do it this way. Give me a second. Yeah, all right. Is that better?
Yeah.
Now, look what it says. We'll even start a little earlier. Verse 5. All my kindreds and my ancestral house of Naphtali sacrifice upon all the mountains of Galilee to the calf that King Jeroboam of Israel had erected in Dan, and on the mountains of Galilee. But I alone went often to Jerusalem for the festivals, as it is prescribed for all Israel by an everlasting decree. I would hurry off to Jerusalem with the first fruits of the crops and the firstlings of the flocks, the tithes of the cattle, and the first shearings of the sheep. I would give these to the priests, the sons of Aaron, at the altar. Likewise, the tenth of the grain, wine, oil, olive oil, pomegranates, figs, and the rest of the fruits to the sons of Levi who ministered at Jerusalem. Also, every 6 years, I would save up a second tenth in money and go and distribute it each year in Jerusalem, giving it to the orphans and the widows and to the converts who had attached themselves to the Israelites. So that second tenth was given to the orphans, the widows, and the proselyte, the convert. Was Tazadakia doing that? Was the ICGJC doing that?
No, they weren't.
So doesn't it sound like they were going contrary to what it says here? If they're
Yeah.
going to follow the prescription. And for the record, did this verse ever say that this was a prescription for all the Israelites, or was this specifically for Tobit? I, Tobit, walked in the ways of truth and righteousness. Notice that in verse 3, it's I, Tobit, right? So Tobit
Mm-hmm.
is talking about himself personally, what he
Mm-hmm.
personally did. So you mean to tell me these numbskulls took something that Tobit did personally as an oath that he gave to the orphans, the widows, and to the converts who had attached themselves to the Israelites, and they turned that into a doctrine for themselves, non-Israelites that they are. Johnny come latelys can't even prove that they're Israelites. Unconfirmed Israelites, just like the pretty much all the Hebrew Israelites, all the people in the Hebrew Israelite movement. And you mean to tell me that they took this verse that was about Tobit's own self-prescription and turned it into a doctrine for themselves? And no, not even just a doctrine for themselves, a doctrine for Tazadakia. Ah!
You would be that is 100% correct. And they manipulated those scriptures, and the majority of us in there were none the wiser. We just did what we were told. Man,
That's crazy. But you see how it just took a little bit of. I just read that in context just now and just realized these guys got that wrong. I told you context is the killer of the One West doctrine, man.
exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
to King Echo. Now I'm talking about if we're talking about right now, I'm specifically talking about the ICGJC. But in terms of can't prove that there is like I'm talking about pretty much the vast overwhelming majority of the Hebrew Israelite movement. But I'm in specific talking about the ICGGC and in particular One West camps. Yep. By the way,
yeah,
if you disagree with that, that you can't prove that you're an Israelite, you see that join link, you can come up in here. But go ahead, brother Willie. You were saying?
yeah, man. Just seeing you go through that, it really does show
Uh-oh.
how much uh it really does show how much they manipulated those scriptures, all to have people paying double tights and hurting people's pockets. And I gotta say something. Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I gotta say this though. Something that came to mind is whenever they would have the business portion of the Sabbath, when they would go over these scriptures, they would always point out to everybody, if that's two tights, a 10% tight for that's a regular tithe, and another tithe for the Passover that covers you at Passover. You and you know that the Lord commanded us to tithe. No matter if you get paid at your job, if somebody gives you money, if you're holding on to it, you're not keeping the commandments of the Lord. You're gonna be cursed for that if you don't pay your tithes.
Yeah.
And we're sitting up in there just you know hearing that stuff, and at the time it's getting to us and really making us think that we were sinning if we didn't give these fools our money, you know. But it's just hearing you go through the scriptures like that, and it's kind of ironic because I was sitting here with an NRSV next to me, and I read along with you in it. It's crazy how we didn't see just how badly they manipulated those verses. We just went with whatever we were told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and but I got something else I wanted to ask you about, if I may.
Yeah, good.
About their reincarnation doctrine. I don't know if I wanted to show you exactly what ICDAC.
No, we
You,
debunked that in the previous live stream. We went over that already. Remember we
okay,
went to remember we went to Elijah, Elisha, then we showed spirit and power, remember we went into all that. It's
okay,
been
yeah,
appointed once for a man to die and then the judgment, Hebrews 9:27, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's
right,
Hebrews 9. Yeah. Yeah, Hebrews 9:27.
right. But what I was thinking about was the scriptures in Ecclesiastes that they try to use. Well, Tazadaki. I don't know if anybody else.
No, I've seen the other guys use that where it says where it talks about that which was shall be again. It talks about that, the generations of man come and go, and they'll say, see, and you could tell, man, that the reading comprehension of these guys is terrible, the way that they interpret those passages, right? They think, oh, like, let me show you. When it talks about here, when it talks about the circuits of the wind and all, let me show you this, man.
Oh, okay,
And we'll read it in this translation since I already have it pulled up, right?
yeah,
This is an example of bad reading comprehension on their end, and more specifically, misreading the English of the King James. Are you surprised that Hebrew Israelites misread the English of the King James?
Nope.
Now look what it says right here. The words of the teacher, the son of David, the king in Jerusalem. Obviously, this is Solomon writing. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Meaning, a group of people live and then they die. And then another group of people who descend from them live and die. And then the people that descend from them live and die. That's what it means by a generation goes and a generation comes. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north, and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what is the context? Winds continue to blow. The sun rises and the sun sets. Generations die, generations are born. This isn't talking about reincarnation. This shows you how dumb these guys are when they're misreading this. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us, right? People dying, people living, the wind blowing, the sun rising, the sun setting, right?
Mhm.
All this is talking about is the reality of humanity, and this is what Solomon is writing about. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them, right? He's just simply talking about people coming, people going, people live, people die. The wind blows, the wind goes just like it always has. The sun rises and sets just the way it always has. Bro, this is like some of these Hebrew Israelites are kind of dumb when you think about it, like in their interpretive framework. I see
Yeah.
King Echo is in here. What's going on, King Echo? What's up, man?
Ain't nothing much, man, brother. I'm just listening.
Yeah. No, but you came up in here, man. What's up, man? What's good, bro?
I mean, cause like I seen your videos before, so it's like I be like,
Yeah.
do this guy have a problem with Israelites, like Hebrew Israelites, or he does have a problem with one West? But then I keep seeing your videos, and it's only one West.
I have problem with bad interpretation that comes from anybody, but in particular from Hebrew Israelites, since my channel is focused on correcting Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is their interpretation. I'm an Israelite, but I'm Torah only.
You're an Israelite? Okay, let me
Yeah,
stop you. So every Hebrew Israelite that comes in here is under obligation to demonstrate that they're an Israelite. So what's your evidence of being an Israelite?
my DNA,
What's your DNA?
Igbo.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
The Igbo tribe in Africa said they're Hebrew Israelites.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Are Yoruba Israelites?
Yoruba, some say they
Yeah.
are, some say they don't. Some say they don't. They're not.
Are you familiar with Remy Alona? You know who
Yeah,
Remy Alona is?
I know Remy.
So Remy Alona, he doesn't believe that Yoruba are Israelites. He thinks they're Hamites. He doesn't think they're the same people, even though Yoruba and Igbo are the exact same people paternally. Do you determine Israelite lineage paternally?
Yeah.
Okay, Igbos are E1B1A dominant.
Okay.
So Yoruba are E1B1A dominant.
So the thing is, right? I'm gonna lie to you. From DNA perspective, I think they are right because most of them West
Okay.
African tribes or have E1B1A, right?
Yeah. But E1B1A was in Western Central Africa before there was an Abraham. So how are the people that are in Western Central Africa the descendants of Abraham if they pre-exist Abraham in a completely unrelated people group from
I
Abraham?
mean, which people? I mean, Igbo say they've been there from since the first exile.
Yeah. Okay. And
So
so that
some
makes it
so
true. So
so
some Some Igbos say that, but
But
here's the
I meant,
question.
can I say
But
something?
but but that's not my question though.
Okay, what's your
My
question?
question is because you invoked DNA, you invoked genetics.
Right.
The genetics are going to debunk your perspective because E1B1A carriers were in Western Central Africa before there was an Abraham. So how can those people be specifically the descendants of Abraham?
There wasn't, who said that?
What do you mean? Who said that? I'm asking you the question.
Who, listen, the Igbo people said they're the Israelites. The history said, the oral history, according to them, from what they told me, because when I found out my DNA, asked questions, they've been in there, and so some of the West African tribes who also in Zephaniah 3:10, they tell you you'll find his people them in Africa, beyond the rivers
I'm
Kush.
listening to you. I'm sorry. I know I sound far away because I'm trying to grab this book right now. Give me a
Okay.
second. Okay, I got the book right here. Here it is. I'm sorry. If I sounded really far away, I do ask that you forgive me. So I was pulling this off of my bookshelf. So this is The Black Jews of Africa: History, Religion, and Identity by Edith Bruder. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to read page 4 of this book. You can hear that I have the book in my hand, okay?
Can you see the book
So
name again, please?
the name of the book is The Black Jews of Africa: History, Religion, and Identity by Edith Bruder. That's Edith Bruder. So I'm going to read page 4 of this book, okay? So I'm going to
Okay.
just so I'm you hear that this is an actual book, right? Okay.
I'm okay.
So look what it says here. Let me actually get some give me a second to get this lighting so. Now look what the book says. It says the groups in question, meaning the ones that are reported in this book, the groups in question are located in different African countries. I refer in particular to the Zakor movement in Timbuktu in Mali, the Igbo of Nigeria, the House of Israel of Ghana, the Tutsi Hebrews of Rwanda, the Lemba of South Africa and Zimbabwe, the Abadudaya. I'm sorry, I can hear you echoing, man. You got to mute your mic. The Abadudaya, bro, here, let me help you, man, because that's throwing me off, man. Yeah, of Uganda and others who claim mutatis mundandis to have Jewish identity in radically different ways over time and place. Part of the intellectual background to this 21st century discourse is an age-old fascination with the lost tribes of Israel. Every aspect of the history and the very existence of the 10 tribes is no doubt fraught with controversy and epistemological difficulty. As the late Stanfield Lyman observed, quote, embedded in the esoteric history of Judeo-Christian civilizations of the Occident, the lost tribes continue to play their occasional, recognized, and always intermittent role in both the praxis of modernity and in its postmodern epistemology, end quote. Interest in the subject has to some extent been triggered by the recent events, not least the worldwide concern that the departure of the Beta Israel from Ethiopia to Israel generated in the 1980s and the 1990s, and their subsequent history in the Jewish state. The exodus and recognition of the Ethiopian Jews identified as the lost tribe of Dan have led to an interest to similar lost tribe identity developments in other parts of Africa. Tudor Parfit and Emanuela Tresvin Semi consider the quote implied universalism in such a construct has had the effect of stimulating a wider discourse in which the idea of a universalistic Judaism has been prominent, end quote. Now, this is important. This is the part I want you to focus in on. With the exception of the Ruwaspi Jews in Zimbabwe, the Aba Udaya in Uganda, and the Lemba in South Africa, none of the African groups considered in this study identified themselves as Jews before the 1980s, meaning they themselves personally didn't identify themselves as Jews before the 1980s. That includes your Igbos. So this is page 4 of the book, The Black Jews of Africa: History, Religion, and Identity. So before the 1980s, Igbos were not identifying themselves as Jews.
What was it identifying itself as?
They were simply identifying themselves as Igbo.
Okay. But you know that Jew would be the wrong word to describe somebody that's not a Jew?
No, friend, that's actually an
No, I'm just
illogical
saying.
statement.
No, but
No,
I'm
I'm going to
saying 'cause-
stop you. In the biblical text itself, the term Jew and Israelite are actually used interchangeably. For example, in the Tanakh, during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, and also during the time of Esther, you have the term Jew. For example, Mordecai is called a Jew. You do realize that he is of the people of Israel, and yet he is called a Jew, and he is not specifically, if I'm not mistaken, let me
no, no,
see.
you're
What
right.
was
You're right. You're right.
okay? All right.
And
No, no,
yeah,
but
but
I'm
also
saying the tribe that he's from, if I'm not
it's
mistaken,
Benjamin.
that yeah. So he
Right.
is
But
not
also
a
the
Judahite, and yet he's called a Jew, right? Because
right, but
Judah, Levi,
also
Benjamin, right?
right. But also you will realize
Uh-huh.
that I'm I might be wrong, right? But also in the southern kingdom, right? I think it was some egg when the first exile happened, right? Everybody left. The northern kingdom left. So now the southern kingdom was left, right? So now it was
Hmm.
Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. In exile,
I have a question for you, just real quick. Do you consider Bantus to be Israelites as well? Bantu speakers?
they said that they're Israelites. The one of the
Okay.
rabbis, what Rabbi
Are
Pinkas,
you
I
are you
think.
aware that the Bantu? Do you know when the Bantu expansion took place? The Bantu expansion took place before Abraham was even born, and it took place within uh, Central Africa to West Africa. So people were already in those lands. The people that gave rise to your people were already there. So and the people, even proto peoples that are related to your people. Let me be more exact. The people that gave rise to the people groups, which would include people either who were non-Bantu speakers or themselves Bantu speakers, proto-Bantu speakers. These people gave rise to various people groups that lived in the relevant area, and they were already there before there was an Abraham. Abraham, according to conservative Bible believing scholarship, was born somewhere around 19th century BCE or BC. So the Bantu expansion took place before that time.
So you're
For that to
basically
be the
telling
case, for that to be the case, that means that those people cannot be the physical descendants of Abraham, who is himself the progenitor of Isaac and then Jacob. The reason I bring that up is because the biblical narrative is clear that Abraham was born in Ur of the Chaldees, not the Congo, not in West Africa. He wasn't born in Central Africa or West Africa, but the people group that you descend from were already in the relevant region,
so
and
what you say
this
is
is before there was an
Zephaniah.
Abraham.
So what you say Zephaniah is wrong.
So what you're doing is you're ignoring that really salient piece of evidence that I'm going to show you
No, it's
with a
not. But
source right now.
I'm just asking you a
So
question. So what you
Zephaniah, where
say?
it talks about beyond the rivers of Cush, I think the problem is that you're under the impression that that must be talking about specifically your people group. But if your people are already in Western Central Africa before Zephaniah was even existed, how can that possibly be in reference to the
But
people
if the
that were? No, no, I'm asking you. How can that be in reference to the people if they pre-exist Zephaniah and those words before they were even written? If they were already in those lands before Zephaniah even existed, how could that possibly be in reference to them?
I don't think that like I said, we mix multitude.
You notice that you're
So
not
we
directly dealing with that point.
I'm
That's
t-
salient.
ha- boy, this guy.
Oh, no, no, no. Hold on a second. You notice that I'm asking you a question.
Okay,
I
what's the
need you to
question? Say
deal
it
with
again.
it. I'm gonna say it one more time.
right.
The people that you actually descend from pre-existed Zephaniah in a people group that is not the same people group as Zephaniah in a part of the world that Zephaniah never visited. So how in the world could the people that Zephaniah is writing about somehow be specifically your people if your people as a people group were already in the landmass of the western coast of Africa? How could that possibly be the case if Zephaniah is somehow writing about your people group? How would that be possible? It would be impossible for him to be writing about your people group in particular, right? Just like he's not writing about Vikings, just like he's not writing about British people, and he's not writing about some other obscure group, Mongols, or whatever. He's not writing to these different people groups because the people group that he is referring to are specifically the people that actually belong to the people of Israel that were under the old covenant in the Tanakh. He's not writing to the people groups that are not the people group of Israel. The immediate context dictates who he's talking about. So why would you assume immediately that it has to be your particular people group that's not even Israelites or even Semites to begin with?
I don't know. So let me see. I don't know if
Here, let
this is
me let
that.
me show you this article. Have you ever seen this article from Ebo Shrine? I want
No.
to I want to show you this. So it's a good article. I'm going to post it in the back channel. So this is written by an Igbo historian, okay? Or at least he quotes an Igbo historian. I believe the person who runs this blog here. Let me actually show you. This is by an Igbo man. The person that I'm about to show you is an Igbo man. Okay, so this is your people. Okay, no, this is your people.
No, I'm
You
laughing that
you're
he says my people.
you're Igbo, right?
Yeah,
You're not
I'm
Igbo.
not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just laughing you said that.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but I'm just making sure you're Igbo, right? You are
Yeah, yeah,
Igbo,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So do you see the article right here? So this is from Igbo Cyber Shrine, and here, let me make this.
I can see.
Where's this? No, no, but I think the audience because the
Oh, my bad.
text
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
it says a re-emerging scam: the review of the Jews of Nigeria, Part One, and it says this year, a documentary came out entitled Re-Emerging the Jews of Nigeria, which claims that the Igbo people are one of the lost tribes of Israel. It is a very interesting and entertaining documentary. However, it's one that is very much misnamed. What the documentary should be called is Re-Emerging the Failed Oriental Hypothesis. What the filmmaker, Jeff L. Lieberman, forgot to inform the audience of was that the propaganda he is trying to push has been debunked for nearly 100 years. Before we even get to the review of the film, let's first go through the history so we can figure out how this documentary came to be. The first person to posit any relationship between Igbos and Jews was Oladu Equiano. In his autobiography, he states, "Such is the imperfect sketch my memory has furnished me with of the manner and customs of the people among whom I first drew my breath. And here I cannot forbear suggesting what has long struck me very forcibly, namely the strong analogy which even by this sketch, imperfect as it is, appears to prevail in the manner and customs of my countrymen and those of the Jews. Before they reached the land of promise, and particularly the patriarchs while they were yet in that pastoral state, which is prescribed in Genesis, an analogy which alone would induce me to think that one people had sprung from the other." End quote. Interesting narrative of the life of Oladu Equiano or Gustavus Vasa, the African Chapter 1. And it reads, the statement compares the two groups but doesn't actually say which one he believed came from the other. In recent years, evidence has emerged that Equiano, whose legal name was Gustavus Vasa, was actually born and raised in South Carolina and only wrote about Igbo land from the stories he had heard others who were born there tell. Furthermore, one can argue that even if he were born in Igbo land as he claimed, Vasa admits that not only is his memory very imperfect, having been removed from his people at such a young age, but that he is now looking at it from a Christian point of view, which would bias him to arguing for a biblical connection to his people. To his people, pardon me. Professor Adele Akfibo, one of the prominent Igbo historians, writes about other people who speculated on Igbo origins in the Middle Eastern area. And it reads, George Baisden, 1912, pointing to certain constructs found in the Igbo language, and what he considered the deep religious feeling of the people, propagated the view that the Igbo culture probably evolved under the impact of Levitical code. Impressed by what he considered the superior intelligence of the Aro Igbo and their religious system and rituals, Sir Herbert Richmond Palmer contended that they carried Hamitic blood in their veins and that it was under their leadership that the higher aspects of Igbo culture had evolved. Similarly, impressed by Igbo sun worship and by the features of dual organization in their social sector, M.D.W. Jeffries held that the Igbo at some stage in the past had come under Egyptian influence, the carriers of this influence probably being the Enri of Aqua in northern Igbo land. The pseudoscientific racial theories prominent in the colonial period made their impact on the Igbo in two ways. In the first place, colonialism was a severe humiliation for the Igbo. It also gave them Western education, which made them capable of accepting the myths about cultural similarities between them and peoples of the Near East, to show that they had not always been quote unquote despicable as the colonialists found them. They started laying claim to an Eastern origin on the basis of such cultural similarities. In the same manner, the application of the Oriental hypothesis to the Igbo cultural history by colonial officials had a propagandistic side to it. These men refused to concede that the Igbo cultural traits, which they traced to the east, could indicate that the Igbo came from there. To do so in the intellectual climate of the time, have been to assign to this despised colonial people a higher place on the world tree of culture than the colonial masters would have found convenient. Instead, the colonial theorists claimed that these traits showed that the Igbo had once been under Egyptian or Jewish cultural dominance. Implicit in this claim was the idea, not hereto emphasized by emphasized by anyone, that British colonialism was not a radical departure from the past, but in some sense a continuation of the cultural education, I'd say the so-called cultural education of the Igbo, which had been started long ago by the Egyptians. In this regard, it is revealing that the Oriental hypothesis was imported as an explanation of Igbo history in the 1920s, when the colonial government was experiencing great difficulty in the administration of the Igbo. It was in this situation that it came to be argued first that the Igbo land that Igbo land had once been under Egyptian influence. Second, that the spread of Egyptian culture in Igbo land was the work of a small elite who, after the inbreeding with the people, became the Inri and Aro of today. And third, that if the British really wanted to rule the Igbo, quote unquote, indirectly, then they had to do so through the Enri and the Aro. So Fibo 1965. It says, by the late 1930s, the Oriental hypothesis, had been argued out ad nauseum and abandoned, since no amount of research, not even Herbert Frank Matthews at, and I can't pronounce this, and Jeffries at Aqua, could uncover solid historical or anthropological evidence in its support. C.K. Meek, the government anthropologist who had coordinated the research into this and related issues in Igbo land, closed the debate as far as the government was concerned when he warned that, quote, no purpose would be served by engaging in speculations about ancient cultural contexts, such as that the prevalence of sun worship, of forms of mummification, and of dual organization points to some distant connection with ancient Egypt. As far back as we can see within historic times, the bulk of the Igbo people appear to have lived an isolated existence, end quote. By the 1940s then, the Oriental hypothesis was to all intents and purposes dead as a serious explanation of Igbo cultural history. So it says, the cultural history of the Igbo-speaking peoples of Nigeria by Adele Afibo, and it quotes Western African Cultural Dynamic, Archaeological Historical Perspective, pages 307 to 309. And I'm going to keep going. This dead in the water theory was resurrected for a brief period of time during the Nigerian Biafran War, when the Biafran Republic received support in the form of arms from Israel, among other nations. Apartheid South Africa and Rhodesia also supported Biafra. But nobody uses that as a proof for any ancestral connection that the Igbo have to any of those white settler regimes. Over the years, other Igbo, yeah, pardon me, over the years, other Igbo historical heavyweights through the years have also weighed in. And so it's just giving more examples of, and these are other historians, Igbo historians that talk about this, where it says, it may be well that the proponents of this Oriental hypothesis base their argument on circumstantial evidence. Non-Igbos who believe in this theory drew their conclusions on the strength of some similarities between Igbo sharp practices in trade and money-making ventures with that of the Jews. Still, other people who buy this theory do so because the Igbo man's resentments in Nigeria resemble those of the Jews. The wide dispersion of the Igbo, just like the Jews, is also one of the reasons advanced to support this thesis. Today, however, the concept of the Oriental or Eastern origin is in danger. The idea has been impugned vehemently and is fast losing its credulity. The tradition is considered, it says, the tradition is considered to be more of a fable than reality. No wonder the theory has been opposed and even rejected by some indigenous writers. Afibo has written of its proponents as victims of the Oriental mirage and warned that the Oriental extraction should not be taken seriously. Similar, Professor Elizabeth, and I can't pronounce that name, so forgive me, has dismissed the theory as a, quote, mistaken stereotype. To M.A., and this name I can't pronounce either, the argument is unscientific and only fulfills man's quest for its origin without coming close to the answer. Because of the caliber of these critiques, the first Hermetic hypothesis of the Igbo origin as obsolete and untenable. So it's important that this idea doesn't have any support. Because of the caliber of these critiques, this part right here, this is because it is neither established convincingly. Now, pardon me. This is because it has neither established convincingly the circumstances surrounding the original home of the Igbo, nor traced chronologically how the Igbo came to live where they are today. But put more succinctly, contemporary studies on Igbo origin are contending that the earliest Igbo first emerged in Nigeria and not from the Near or Far East, which is what I told you earlier. Can you see how this doesn't back up the claim of Igbos being Israelites, and that a lot of this is really based on really poorly thought out conjecture? And in fact, I'll even say this. This is only part one. There are actually 3 parts that go into all the ways that it would be really awkward for the Igbo to even be Israelites, given the actual cultural practices of the Igbos, the fact that, I mean, there's so many different things. And if you like, I can see, this is a very long, and this is just part 1. So I can show you, this is part 2 right here. It actually goes into so for example, it gives many of the evidences. It says, in the last part of this article, I gave an overview of the history of the failed Oriental hypothesis that has reemerged in this modern day immigration scam, right? Now look what it says here. But what I hinted on doing in this part is to take a look at each of the claims that are made in the film and test the veracity. The results of my research have been posted below, as well as the title of each source used. Furthermore, many of the books and articles have been uploaded to this site for everyone to be able to see for themselves. It has taken me a few years to build up my collection of Igbo-related documents and books, and it took me a few months in order to be able to put all this together. I would urge those who are truly interested in learning Igbo history and culture to take the time to read the sources and come to their own conclusions. The topics that will be evaluated will be the following: traditions of the Igbo, Eri, migration routes, circumcision, kosher diet customs, Sabbath and other holy days, and concept and names of God. So if you like, I can actually show you this and you can see for yourself, so you don't, hear me just reading everything. I could do that if you want. That
Can you post a link in the chat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%, my friend. I'll actually do that right now. I'll post part 1.
So okay. So you saying this,
and then
right?
I'll post part 2. Yeah, and I'm gonna post part 2 and part 3. I'm gonna post all 3 parts. So do you see the private chat? So I'm posting the first link now. Do you see the first link? Do you see that I just posted it? That's the first one. Here goes the second one, and everybody can see my screen that I'm copying and pasting and
Yeah. I seen it. Okay,
there goes
thank
the
you.
second one, and then And then here goes the third one, my friend. Let me give you one last one. And notice that all these sources are posted here, so you can see the sources on the screen, so you're able to look at this for yourself. And so I'm just showing everything. Let me just go down and get the third link.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So who do you think are the ancient Israelites current day right
The
now? The
what do you
brother,
mean? Who
the
I think the
descendants. I
ancient
mean,
Israelites
sorry,
would be the
the
people that
descendants. The descendants.
the
Sorry, the
descendants. I got you.
descendants.
Yeah, so if we're gonna look at who I think has the best case of having descendants within their community, it's the very community that most Hebrew Israelites reject as Jews, because their community literally was derived from the very community that was expelled off of the land both in 70 AD, 135 AD, and that subsequently migrated even during that period, because Jews continued to live in those regions even during that time, and there's tons of evidence to show that. But the
But
people that you asked a question, so you
but
want to hear
I'm
the
letting
whole
you
answer,
speak.
right?
I sorry if I interrupt. Sorry.
Yeah. So the evidence is number one. So we're clear on something. Being a part of the community doesn't mean you physically descend from Jacob. That's the error that most Hebrew Israelites and those adjacent to their ideas make. They're under the assumption that to be a Jew or an Israelite, no, let me not say it that way. To be a part of the community means that you have to physically descend from Jacob. But the problem is that we know, according to the biblical text, if you look at Esther 8:17, Deuteronomy 29
Con-
14, Numbers 15
converts.
15, that the community had converts in it, right?
Right.
So the community always had converts.
Right.
In the time of the Tanakh, in the time post Tanakh, it always had converts. So the people that you see today, a significant portion of them are the descendants of the people that were in the land, who were not just physical descendants of Jacob, but were also the converts that lived in the land with the physical descendants of Jacob.
Okay. So now let's say he scattered. Okay, in Isaiah, right, and Deuteronomy
Mm-hmm.
28, right. I'm not debating. I'm just asking questions, right? Because you know. So now he said
Mm-hmm.
he scatters to the four corners of the earth, right?
Yeah.
So now Europe is just one corner, right?
So Igbos weren't scattered to the four corners of the earth. You do realize that, right?
I'm not talking about Igbos. I'm just talking about in general
But you
right
are an
now.
Igbo, though, right? You agree
Right, but
that
I'm
you're
just
that.
asking. Right, right. I agree with. I'm not saying I'm not.
So
I'm just
would
asking
it?
a question.
So do you believe that the people who are over there today? Do you think that when I say the people, do you think I'm just talking about Ashkenazis? Like, do you think
Nah,
that Jews are just?
but I know you have
No, I'm asking. I'm
Safradine.
asking. I'm not. I'm
No,
not
no, no, no,
accusing
no,
you.
no,
I'm
no,
just
no, no,
asking.
no, no,
I'm just
no.
asking.
Listen, bro. Listen, I'll tell you something, right?
No, I
I'm
don't want
not.
you to think that I'm accusing you. I'm just
No,
asking.
no. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm just saying something, right? I
Okay.
know my community, right?
Yeah.
We don't say that Hebrew Israelites are only black people, right?
No,
We
no.
say
I'm
they
not
have
making the
different
argument that you said
seeds. They
that
come
either.
from
I don't want you to
anywhere in the
think that I.
world. Because you
Yeah, I don't
scattered
want you
from
to
the
think I
four
made that.
corners. So
No, no. Hear
you
me out,
can't just if
brother.
you scatter to the four corners, it can't be a black person every corner.
Wait,
It's
wait. So
different
King Echo, can you
colors
hear
of
me?
people, different nationalities, different races, or whatever. So
Wait, are
you
you
could be
able to hear me
white,
right now?
black, white, yellow, green, purple. It doesn't matter.
No, no. I'm
But
not.
I'm not
I'm not accusing
saying
you of any of that. But bro,
like
can you hear me right now? Are you able to hear me,
who else do you
bro?
think
Can
they
you
are?
hear
I'm
me?
not talking about Akhenazi.
Hello,
I'm not talking about Safradine,
hello.
Mizrahi.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Are you? Can you guys hear me right now? Can everybody hear me? Brother Willie, can you hear me? Am I talking and nobody can hear me right now? Can the audience hear me right now? Hello? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you guys hear me right now? I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Can someone type a
Yeah.
one in the chat? Okay, yeah. I was like, man, the whole time I was like, man, can anybody hear me right now? My bad. So, King Echo, I wasn't accusing you of saying that the Israelites are only black people, but if you're gonna say here, I'm sorry, I'm gonna unmute you, man, because I don't know if you could hear me.
Hello,
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear
can
me
you
now,
hear me?
man? I don't know if it was a connection issue on your end or my end. Yeah, so I wasn't accusing you of saying that the Israelites are only black. That wasn't the argument. You're saying that the Igbos are Israelites, but the Igbo are a people group independent from the people of Israel. like all the evidence points in that direction. My argument isn't to say that it's impossible for Israelites to be black, or you couldn't possibly have Israelites that have the morphological appearance of Ebos. That's not my argument. My
I can't hear
argument
you
is
if
to
you're
say,
speaking.
oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. Hey, Willie, can you talk to him? Like maybe he can hear you. Are you able to see if you can talk to him and see if he can hear you, Brother Willie? Brother Willie, I need you to unmute, man. Hey, man, somebody got to, hey, come on now. Somebody got to help me out here, man. Oh, man. Like, can one of the brothers or sisters jump into this live stream right now? And if y'all can, here, I'm going to post the link because he might not be able to hear me. Can somebody tell him to, like, jump out and jump back in? So maybe he'll be able to hear one of y'all. Maybe if I post it in the private chat. Hold on. All right. Well, he left before I could finish writing that. Okay. Well, hopefully he comes back. Yeah. So I want anybody who has a question to come up in here. Your question, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, will be answered if you come up into this live stream. That's how that works. Anyways, to King Echo, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't hear anything you said like the last minute or
Okay,
two.
so I wanted to be clear. I didn't accuse you of saying the Israelites are only black, but if you're saying that the Ebos are Israelites, well, the evidence points as a people group, the evidence points in the opposite direction of that, for sure.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's my only contention. It's not to say that it's impossible for anybody who self-identifies as an Igbo to potentially be descendant from, a person
The
who could be
descendants.
Jewish. No. I'm saying the vast overwhelming majority of Igbos are definitely not descendants of ancient Judeans.
Okay.
If we're looking at this objectively, it has nothing
So
to do with what they look like. It just has to do with the reality that they are not the descendants of ancient Judeans. As a majority, as a people group, no.
so that means you wouldn't think the Akans are Israelites too.
No. Nope. The vast overwhelming majority of the people of West and Central Africa are not descendants of ancient Judeans. Absolutely not. And in fact, since you believe in Tanakh, Deuteronomy 4:27 says the Israelites would be left few in number into the nations where the Lord would scatter them. Small, few. Your people are not few in number. They're in astronomically large numbers in Western Central Africa. If we realize that all of these different groups, even though they're culturally different, linguistically different, they're genetically the same people, paternally speaking. They're all E1B1A carriers, meaning that they all descend from the same base population of people that gave rise to these people. Those people are not Judeans. They're not ancient Israelites. It would be virtually impossible for them to be those people if they're already in that land before there's even an Abraham. And Abraham is not. So I'm clear on this. Abraham was born in Ur of the Chaldees.
Right.
Okay. He wasn't born in Central Africa or West Africa. The people that you actually descend from were already in the relevant region when Abraham was already born.
So who are these?
Then
Who
so
was it?
how can your people be his descendants physically speaking, if they pre-exist him in a completely different people in a completely different part of the world? Like, explain that to me.
Migration?
Okay, migration. So listen closely. They existed before Abraham. Okay? Abraham didn't give rise to your people. So how can they be the descendants of a man that wasn't even born into their people group? See, you don't have an explanation for that because that is a problem in your worldview. Just trying to relegate it to migration doesn't get around the problem, because you're saying that your people descend from Abraham, but Abraham is not a descendant of your people, nor did he give rise to your people. He didn't give rise to the people that you actually come from. Your people already existed before Abraham existed in a different part of the world, in a different linguistic, excuse me, paradigm, in a completely different uh, people. I mean, how can they be the same people if they're not the same people? Explain that to me.
Okay. So now, okay, I don't have the answer for that at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So now
I'm sorry.
let's
No, I
say,
couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you. No, I'm
what the
sorry. I
hell?
said, huh? I said, like I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but I couldn't. I'm not affirming what you said. I'm like, what do you like?
Oh, okay.
Meaning, what do you
Can
mean?
you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Like I'm
All
not
right.
affirming what you said. I'm just trying to get clarity. Like I'm sorry. I'll be more clear. I'm sorry. What did you mean by that? I couldn't hear what you
So
said.
I don't have an answer for that right now. I will have, but I don't have the answer for that right now at the moment.
Okay.
So then, but I'm just saying, right? I'm watching the history. I'm talking to the multiple like looking at reading different stuff, right? So
Okay.
if we left from the first exile, right, and we went into Africa, right? We flee.
You're assuming
I'm assuming,
like though.
right? I'm assuming. So now let's say,
Yeah, but I don't want you to assume. I want you to give me evidence. Don't give me your speculation. I'm not going to
okay,
follow your speculation. I'm still waiting for you to give me evidence that you and your people are actually Israelites. What evidence do you have?
the oral history that I'm saying, I'm just going
So I
according to the
just read
oral
an article
history.
that mentioned that your people were not identifying as Jews, that this was introduced by outside sources, that outside people, and it's not organic to your people, that this has already long been debunked. I didn't even get into the section that debunks the claims that are made, especially for like the naming and the so-called traditional similarities. All of that stuff is debunkable. I want you to give me. So let's start with something first. So you said genetics earlier.
Right.
Do you determine Israelite ethnicity patrilineally?
Yeah.
Okay. Name me another group of people that's not your people that you think are Israelites. Like
What do you
someone
mean?
that isn't like
Like an
that
African
doesn't look
tribe?
like you. No, that doesn't look like you, but that you think are Israelites.
Persian Jews?
Okay, Persian Jews. What genetics do
Um,
Persian Jews have? Hear me out. What genetics do Persian Jews have paternally?
I don't know.
You don't know, but you're saying they're the same people. You don't see that as problematic? Like, if you're saying that your methodology is paternal, then you need to know what Persian Jews are paternally, right?
I'm okay.
So, Persian Jews paternally are not E1B1A dominant. I can tell you that just from the jump.
Okay.
So, the question that I have for you is your people are E1B1A dominant, right?
Right.
So, if they're not E1B1A dominant, how are they the same people as your people? By the way, Persian Jews have various lines of descent, and their primary lines of descent are J1 and J2. If you're wondering,
Right.
along with the R's, and so Persian Jews aren't genetically the same people as your people. So how are you both the same? If you're saying you're an Israelite on your father's side, but their father's side starting point is not the same starting point as your people's starting point, which is E1B1A.
I don't know. I don't want to say that they're not, but some Persians are Jews, no?
So if you mean that they belong to a historically attested community, sure. But and for the record, I don't consider Jew as necessarily physically descending from Jacob. I don't take that position. I take the position of belonging to a historically attested community. But you do take the position of physically descending from Jacob. That's what makes a person an Israelite for you, right?
Right.
Okay,
To the
so Persian Jews don't have the same starting point paternally as your people. They're different people on the father's side. So how can they both be physical descendants of Jacob if they're not the same people paternally?
mixed multitude.
Okay, do you understand that the mixed multitude were non-Israelites that joined with the Israelites? But you're
Right, but
saying
they also
the
had
Persian
kids
Jew,
too.
but no, but that's not what you said. You said the Persian Jews are physical descendants of Jacob.
Can I correct myself? Not all Persian Jews are descendants of Jacob.
Okay, so now you've contradicted yourself because I asked you what
I'm
group of
saying
people
correct
do you
myself.
believe are the same people as you want? No, 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 no. You did contradict yourself. So this is a recorded live stream. I hope you know that if
Brother,
you
I
don't
know
catch yourself, I
this.
may listen, I may make a video about you and people are going to see that you're not being very honest. So I want you to be honest. I want you to operate in integrity lest I make a video out of you. Now,
Okay.
this is important. You started off by saying, because I asked you, what other
Persian
group of people
Jews.
that doesn't look like you are also like paternally Jews? And you said Persian Jews. So then I said, well, Persian Jews don't even have the same genetics on the father's side as your people who are E1B1A dominant. They're not E1B1A dominant. They can't be the same people on the father's side. So now you switched it to say the mixed multitude. But the mixed multitude was in reference to the converts that left, or the people that are non Israelites that left with the physical descendants out of Egypt. Well, how would that make them both physical descendants of Jacob? It wouldn't. So that kind of contradicts your argument for Persian Jews. So name me another group of people that don't look like you that you believe are physical descendants of Jacob. Notice I said physical descendants.
Physical descendants.
Yes. I want people to see that most people that have these viewpoints have a very incoherent or illogical methodology. I want them to see that most of you can't actually demonstrate your identity claims because your identity claims are based on emotions and not facts and not logic and not a coherent methodology. I want people to see this. And you're showing that firsthand. You're showing it. No disrespect to you. I'm not trying to disrespect you. But this isn't based on a coherent methodology. It's based on very incoherent reasoning, very subjective reasoning, very not thinking all the way through, not critically thinking this all the way through kind of reasoning.
Beta Ephraim. Beta Ephraim.
Beta Ephraim.
Yeah, Beta Ephraim.
Okay, Beta Ephraim. Who's Beta Ephraim?
Shit. What the name is?
Yo, wait. Don't cuss on my channel, please. Don't
My
do that.
my bad. My bad. My bad. Pashtun.
Okay, the Pashtuns. What genetics do the Pashtuns have paternally? You haven't thought about this, have you?
Brother, I'm just asking a question.
I'm asking you though. You
No,
should know,
I don't know.
right?
Like I said, listen. Listen. I just going according. I'm just following what I see on YouTube,
Okay,
like the internet,
I,
right?
I know
So
but this is
hold on.
based on really poorly researched, poorly thought out reasoning, though. That's what I want you to see. None of this has been based. Everything that you're showing me has been based on really like stuff that like if you really thought about this and critically thought it out, man, you'd be like, nah, this is a bunch of nonsense. What I'm saying, like you would actually be saying that to yourself. You know, understand me? Like, what I'm trying to get you to see is that your methodology is not good. It's your methodology doesn't lead to the conclusions that you're arriving at because you have a methodology that's inconsistent, that's incoherent. I'm not saying that to disrespect you. I'm not saying that you're dumb. That doesn't mean you're dumb. What it means is that you're not thinking this all the way through. Very smart people sometimes make the mistake of not thinking things all the way through. You know, I wouldn't deny that you're a smart guy, but you're not thinking critically though, you know?
All right.
So, but we have a problem because Pashtuns paternally are not the same as so right now I'm looking at the Pashtuns. It says the majority of the Pashtuns from Afghanistan belong to R1A with a frequency of 50 to 65%. So the majority of them are R1A, and it says haplogroup L and J2 occur at an overall frequency of 6%. It says haplogroup J2 is found in 9 to 24% depending on the study. And E1B1B, not E1B1A, different people group, has been found in a frequency to 4 to 13%. Haplogroup L occurs at a rate of 8%. So none of the haplogroups, E1B1B is not E1B1A. J2 is not E1B1A. And Haplogroup L is not E1B1A. R1A is not E1B1A. None of these haplogroups are the haplogroup of your people. So how can they be your people, the same as your people, if they don't even have the same father side, um, reckoning? They're different people on the father side. How can they be the same people? They can't be the same people. It's impossible for them to be the same people. Do you see
Mhm.
the issue now?
Yeah, I see.
That's why I want you to think about this, man. Like, fam, check this out. Um, there's a group of guys, man, that they came up out of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine completely because of the genetics. They're known as the Yap Gang. I used to debate them back in the day, and I'm actually good friends with several guys that are there. One of them being my friend Ivry, and he came up out of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine precisely because of the genetic evidence. The genetic evidence led him away from the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. Um, if you examine the genetic evidence critically and objectively, you're not going to remain with the belief that you have currently. But this is what I want you to understand. I'm going to give you something sustainable, something that you can actually believe in, which is the Christian faith. If you want to be a part of the true Israel, then you have to be in Christ. You cannot be Tanakh only and expect to have the promises of Tanakh revealed to you if you're not trusting that what the Tanakh promise would come to happen. And the only way to have that reality is to believe in the New Testament. The New Testament are the promises of Tanakh revealed and fulfilled. So the New Testament bears witness that what Tanakh says is true. It amens Tanakh. It bears witness to the reality of the Tanakh. So the only way for you to be truly a upholder of Tanakh is to believe in the New Testament. You cannot be Tanakh only and expect to be following a coherent methodology, man. In fact, I'd even venture to say the Tanakh only position is worse than the camp position, because as bad as the camps are, as distorted as their doctrine and racist as it is, they at least still believe in Jesus as the Messiah, even though they have a distorted Jesus who's not the actual Jesus of Scripture. But you're outright rejecting Jesus. So they're bad, you're worse.
All my
Now,
words.
if you're worse because you're rejecting the one who Tanakh predicted would come to be the Messiah, the promised one. And what I would tell you is, if you want the fullness of truth and revelation found in Tanakh, you can only have that by being in the Christian faith, man.
Okay.
Christ is the only way, man, and he is the fulfiller of the words of Tanakh. But I have a playlist on my channel called Torah Tanakh Only Torah Nights. If you look for that playlist, there's a video there where my brothers did a debate against some Tanakh onlys, and they debunked them in that debate. And I think you'll see how incoherent the Tanakh only position is by watching that video. I think you'll get a clear understanding of how the Tanakh only position is indefensible. All right, so if you go to my channel, look for the playlist. It should be labeled. I'll give you the exact name right now: Torah Nights and Tanakh Only Hebrew Israelites. If you look for that playlist, it's gonna give you a refutation of the Tanakh only position. Yeah, man. So the Christian faith is the only way, bro. You heard me? And I want the audience to see that every time that I do these, it's always going to lead right back to the gospel message, the necessity of Christ. I'm never having these conversations in vain just to argue the idea of a person's genealogical background. What I want to point people to is the idea that you are a person who is made in the image of God. You are worthy of dignity and respect, regardless of your cultural background. But the only way for you to have true peace is to be in the right covenant with the King of Peace, the Prince of Peace, Jesus the Christ, because he was sent by the same God of Tanakh to be the fulfiller of the promises of Tanakh, which includes the remission of your sins and your ability to have right standing with God Almighty.
But I didn't want to do this. But I just want to confirm with you, right?
Hmm.
So you telling me that Zephaniah 3:10 doesn't really pertain to the Igbo and the other African tribe that claim they're Israelites, and E1B1A is not accurate as E1B1B.
So E1B1A and E1B1B both descend from a common progenitor line known as E1B1, but they're not the same people group. If I could use a kind of a loose analogy, E1B1A and E1B1B would be equivalent to, if I could give a biblical example, it would be like saying the Egyptians and the Canaanites. They both descend from Ham, but they're not the same people, right? They're different people that descend from Ham, right? Or if I could use another example, the Israelites and the people of Aram, they both descend from Shem, but they're not the same people. Make sense?
Right.
E1B1A and E1B1B are two separate populations of people. They come from they both have a origin point from a base population, an origin population, but they are not the same people. Meaning their individual pockets of populations aren't the same people.
Okay. So now I'm just asking. I'm thinking. So now,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
Lemba tribe, Beta Israel, Igbo, whatever, Igbo, right? So now
Hmm.
let's Beta Israel, right, has E1B1B, right? Lemba have E1B1A and E1B1E. I mean, E1B1B and E1B1A, I think, right? And
Okay.
Igbo is about 90%
Yeah. E1B1A.
E1B1A, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that they wouldn't be the same thing?
So if I could correct something, so the Lemba have diversity in their population. So the Buba clan in particular, I believe 58% of the Buba clan, the priestly Buba clan, are J1. That's the Kohen modal haplotype. Now, within the wider Lemba community, if I'm not mistaken, you have E1B1A, you have the Kohen modal haplotype, obviously with the Buba clan, and you have it in smaller frequencies amongst the normative Lemba. Then you have E1B1B, and then you have, I think, T, and there's another haplogroup that escapes me. But the connection that's usually made with the Lemba and the idea of ancient Judean populations is made with the J1, with the Kohen modal haplotype. That's where the connection is usually drawn. Now, interestingly enough, the Lemba have an oral history, and they say that they're the white men from Senna. Have you ever read the book Black Jews of Africa and the Americas by Tudor Parfit? Have you ever read
No.
that book? So in his book on pages 157 to 167, he talks about this. I'm gonna pull up the book right now, and I want you to see it for yourself. I want you to see the relevant section, because according to the Lemba's own oral history, they claim to be descended from non-black people on the father's side. Now, this is their claim, just so we're
I
clear on
never heard
this.
that.
Well, I'm going to show you it. I'm going to show you it. Let me just pull this up right now.
But wouldn't it have the same? I'm just asking, right? But wouldn't it have the
I know you're
same
asking.
aura?
I know you're
I'm
asking.
just wouldn't it have the same oral history as the Igbo? Like, cause listen, I'm watching a lot of YouTube, a lot of videos, right?
Okay.
And they all have the same oral history, meaning saying that they all come from like the eastern part of Africa, right? Israel,
Okay.
Canaan, right?
Yeah,
And
but Israel's not in Africa. It historically has never been located in the continent known as Africa. Africa, if hold on, let me actually show you something real quick, because we'll deal with the Africa thing in a moment. But I want to show you the book first. I wanted to show you this page. That then allow me so I can deal with that directly, because I don't want to jump from topic to topic. I actually want to still deal with this one point. Are you okay if I just deal with this very quickly?
yeah,
Okay, that's what's up, my man. All right, let me actually do it this way, man. Okay, this is the book right here. Let me go to page 157. Let me actually do this way, man. Be faster if I do it this way. Let me actually go all the way down, because there's a lot to read. All right, let me go 157. and then I'll read the rest of it. Okay. And so I want you to see this with your own eyes so you can see that I'm not making this up, man. All right. Okay. I got it on my screen now. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So this is from the book Black Jews in Africa in the Americas by Tudor Parfit. Okay. You see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me actually show you this. Yeah, let me actually show you so you can see what it says about the Lemba, what they were saying about themselves. Okay. It says some of these ideas were internalized by the Lemba themselves. In a South African compilation of vernacular accounts, M.M. Motenda, a Lemba, observed the Valemba, in respect of their faces and noses, are well known to have been very handsome people. Their noses were exactly like those of the European. And it says this relevant plate in this compilation showed a profile of a Lemba with a prominent Semitic looking nose. When I was doing field work in a Lemba village in Zimbabwe in 1997, I was urged to meet a man who everyone said was a typical Lemba. He had a prominent nose, blue eyes, and what they said was a European face. They were very proud of this man's look, and I suspect that the important ritual roles he occupied were given on the strength of it. But in reality, he was the only Lemba I met while I was in the Mbozi chieftain in Zimbabwe who really had this kind of quote unquote look. He was atypical but presented as typical. The illustrations in the ethnographic literature followed this principle. The Lemba were constructed as Jews and were therefore expected to have a look that corresponded to the Jewish stereotype. The Lemba themselves are emphatic about looking Jewish. I love my people, a Lemba woman told me in Soweto in 1989. We came from the Israelites. We came from Senna. We crossed the sea. We were so beautiful with beautiful long Jewish noses and so proud of our facial structure. We no way wanted to spoil our structure by carelessness, eating pig or marrying non-Lemba Gentiles. During the field work carried out in 2003, I discovered that in one Zimbabwe village, the majority of the Lemba respondents maintained that their quote unquote Jewish noses were one of the most important things about them, one of the most important things in their lives. No matter that the outsiders usually commented on their paler skin, they were always unequivocally tagged as Black Jews. But this color designation certainly sits uneasily with the Lemba's own view of themselves. If you ask a Lemba villager, who is black round here, he will point at some Shona village far away over the hills and mutter, ah man, those Wazenhi people up there, they are black. However, Lemba frequently refer to themselves as Varungo Vakamba Zena, the white men who came from Senna, and frequently make fulsome allusion to the remarkable and attractive lightness of their own skin. So, do you see that their own oral history they were claiming to be the white men of Senna, right? Here, let me keep going because I want to show you what this article says because it's gonna mention something about that again. When it mentions that the white men of Senna. Yeah, this is where it talks about the DNA and it says here, let me actually Jenkins was inspired to put Lemba and outside commentator claims to the test. For the first time in 1,000 years of construction of Jewish identity in Africa, and after countless claims of Jewish or Semitic ancestry with respect to myriad groups, it was possible to put the question of a distant historical origin to an objective test. On the basis of samples of DNA from 49 Lemba men, Jenkins wrote what was a historic article, which was published in the American Journal of Human Genetics, 96. The results of the paper were that 50% of Lemba Y chromosome tested were Semitic in origin, 40% Negroid, notice that Negroid and Semitic are distinguished, and the ancestry of the remainder could not be resolved. Jenkins noted, quote, these Y-specific genetic findings are consistent with the Lemba oral tradition and analysis of the history of Jewish people and their association with Africa indicates that the historical facts are not incompatible with theories concerning the origin of the Lemba. The following year witnessed, oh, I don't know why this thing keeps doing this. It keeps freezing on me. The following year witnessed the publication of a quite different genetic study based on the number of Jewish groups worldwide, which would prove to be extremely useful. This study made use of 2 Y chromosome markers and constructed haplotypes for 188 male Jews, which showed that a specific haplotype was common among the hereditary Jewish priestly caste, the Kohanim, who, according to the Bible and Jewish tradition, are patrilineal descendants of the founder of the priestly clan Aaron and the brother of Moses. The following year, another study extended the Y haplotype to include 5 further markers, and of this time, Thomas found a more specific haplotype in the Kohanim, which they termed the Kohen modal haplotype, CMH. The CMH is found in members of the Jewish priestlyhood, 56% of Sephardi Jews, 45% of Ashkenazi Jews, and between 3 to 5% in general Jewish non-priestly families. The author inferred from this that the CMH was probably a constituent of ancestral Jewish population and calculated that this marker arose 106 generations ago, about the time of Moses, according to the biblical accounts. My own work on the Lemba in 1980s and 1990 was disseminated quite widely. In addition to writing a book and a number of articles, I did a series on BBC, so I'm going to just skip so you can get to the part, because it actually tested them, and then I think 58% of the Booba, yeah, I think this is where it talks about 58% of the Booba. It said, the Ensung paper, which analyzed 399 Y chromosomes in 6 populations, including Lemba, Bantu, and Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jews, discovered that Lemba Y chromosomes were divided into Semitic and Bantu clades, meaning 2 different peoples. That one of the Lemba subclans, the Buba, which traditionally contained the Lemba priesthood, to our surprise, carried the CMH at high frequency. So just so you know, Igbos don't have the CMH. Lembas did have, the priestly clan did have the CMH.
But hello?
No, I understand, but this is the important thing that you have to understand, right? If we're following this logically, right? If we're gonna say, well, what the Lemba has, therefore necessitates that this is the evidence, they're the smoking gun, then it would be an immediate refutation against your claim. I'll tell you why. Let's just follow this logically. I'm not even going to argue that the CMH is the basis for Jacob or anything like that. But if we're going to use the Lemba as the basis, here's the problem. Their connection is being drawn from the CMH, which is J1, haplogroup J1, not any of the E's. It's J1. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, if J1 is the marker, Igbos are not J1 dominant at all. Now, that means Aaron would have had to have been J1 by this logic. Moses would have been J1 because that's his brother. The Israelites would have been J1 because Moses is an Israelite. And that means that the other patriarchs would have also have been J1. That means that Igbos are out. That means anyone who's not J1 is out by that logic. That means the majority of Igbos are out, the majority of Akan, the majority of Ewe, the majority of all those different groups that are claimed to be, they're all Yoruba, all those different people are out. Do you see the problem?
I'm listening.
Yeah, here it is right here. This is the part I wanted you to see. It says, the Lemba informants now insist that they have the same blood as Jews. This fact confirms from them what they have always said, that they were phenotypically different from their non-Lemba neighbors. Those Lembas with whom I have discussed the results often recall the fact that they habitually refer to themselves as the white men that came from Senna, and that the DNA evidence proves that they were once white and that they were Jews. That's what they're saying about themselves, man.
So, okay. So
now, I'm not agreeing with their claim. I'm just telling you what they're saying.
Okay.
But that's radically different from what you're saying and other guys are saying. That's definitely ridiculously different from what Hebrew Israelites of the camp variety are saying and other Hebrew Israelites. I mean, that would contradict their claim, wouldn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, but that wouldn't debate the Torah claim too. The Tanakh,
No,
sorry,
no.
the Tanakh.
Here's the thing. So we're trying to establish if your people are Israelites and you're an
Yeah, I get
Israelite,
that. I get that part.
and you invoke the lemba. But if we use the lemba as the barometer,
Right.
the lemba are not being connected through the E. They're not being connected through T. They're not being connected. They're being connected through specifically J1, the Cohen modal haplotype. That's a problem for you because your people don't have in any significant frequency the Cohen modal haplotype. Not saying that you don't have any Igbo that could have it. I'm just saying the vast overwhelming majority of Igbos don't have it. So
I
that
mean,
means you and the Lemba and the priestly clan is important because if they're saying that the priestly if the Lembas claim that their priestly clan descends from the Aaron priestly clan,
uh-huh.
and Aaron is the brother of Moses. Moses is an Israelite. The Levites are related to the other tribes.
Right.
That takes your people out of the equation as a majority
Okay.
because your people aren't the same people paternally as the Buba clan. They're not the same people. They're
Oh,
different.
okay.
That's a problem.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man, if we start going down this, man, all of the evidence is going to point against your claim of being an Israelite, man. It's just not there, bro. If we're being honest, and don't think that this would work. If I was talking to a Scandinavian person, if I was talking to a dude from I don't know a Viking, or if I was talking to a person of Mongolian descent, the same argument would work against them. It would be the same problem for them. It's not just your people. It's a significant amount of people. You know, a lot of people.
Okay.
That's why all this I think these people are Israelites because somebody said they might be Israelites doesn't work. If we're going to go with the genetic evidence, it's going to destroy all these arguments.
So genetics would be about. Well, so basically, what you saying, right?
Mhm.
Genetics would be the bad thing to go because we all every group that's outside of West Africa, right?
Okay.
Most groups outside of West Africa have different haplogroups, correct?
So most groups out of well, no. So let me explain. Obviously, Africa is a very diverse continent with various people with various lines of descent. But if we're talking Western Central Africa specifically, it's not looking good. Just like it wouldn't look good if we're talking about Vikings and other
No,
groups
but
of
I'm
people.
saying I'm saying that outside of West Africa, right? The
Uh huh.
because the Bukarians, the Safradine, the Akanaz, not the Mizraim. Well, the other Jews
Yeah.
that has the
Give me one.
that don't
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Keep going. Keep going. I'm hearing you. Go ahead, man.
that don't have the same haplogroup, the DNA, that would be a wrong call because we don't have the same DNA.
I'm not
So then,
tracking.
so then,
I'm trying to. I'm trying to
no,
follow
no,
what
no,
you're saying, but
so
it's
basically, what I'm saying is to
yeah.
prove that you're an Israelite, you have to come better than DNA. You have to come with
No, no, no,
the,
no.
the
So you have to understand. So my question to you was, what is your evidence?
right,
And
and I
of
said an
course, you're
Igbo.
no, no, no. Hear me out. But hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. You got to hear the full thought, man. I asked, what was your evidence, right?
Uh huh.
And I asked, your methodology is it's paternal, right? It doesn't matter what the mother is. It's only what the father is for you, right?
Right.
Okay, that's a problem because if we're looking at this patrilineally, this is where it's going to fall apart in you completely. All of those different groups of people, like for example, you mentioned Persian Jews. They're not the same people as you paternally, and you try to say that you have a connection to them. You mentioned the Pashtuns. And I showed you that they aren't the same people as your people paternally.
Right.
Then you mentioned the Lemba. Well, the people that they're being connected to, via the Cohen modal haplotype, that you're not the same as them. If you're E1B1A, you're not the same as them, because the ones that are J1, the Cohen modal haplotype, the ones that's the haplogroup that's being used to connect them to this ancestral Jewish community. That's the one that's generally being used, and that's the problem, because if you're saying that you're the same people as them paternally, well, the genetic evidence, at least for the Buba clan, says the opposite. And the Buba clan is the smoking that's claimed to be the smoking gun by them. Like, you saw the book that I showed you what they thought about that, right? And
Right,
that they claim to be the white men from Senna because they claim that their ancestors were white.
right,
You see how
right,
that's
right,
kind of a problematic. Well, the problem is, even if you wanted to make the argument, well, I think my ancestors were white, I think they were those Jews or whatever, fam, you're E1B1A, right?
right,
Unless they were E1B1A, you wouldn't be a descendant of them. And if you're saying that if you're saying that your ancestors were white, then how do you account for other groups of people that are not claimed to be Jews, right? Like, for example, I use Remy Alona as the example. He says the Yoruba are Hamites, but the Yoruba and the Igbos are genetically the same people paternally. Now, you want to know what's hilarious? Remy Alona believes Ashkenazis are Israelites. I have a video on my channel. Go to my shorts and look for the video on Remy Alona. He
I
literally says
wouldn't,
that
I wouldn't,
Ashkenazis
I
are
wouldn't
Israelites.
debate that. I wouldn't debate.
No,
I
but
wouldn't
but
say
that
none
but
of
that's
that.
but that's a problem, because if we look at Ashkenazis here, let me explain. Ashkenazis have about 8 major lines of descent in their population. So when you look at their percent or something like that, that means the vast overwhelming majority of Ashkenazim cannot be the same people as the vast overwhelming majority of Igbos, because Igbos and Ashkenazim are not the same people paternally. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, and I appreciate the super chat from Israelite only camp killer. I appreciate you. According to the DNA, North American blacks and Mexicans and South Americans
I'm not
cannot
North
be
American.
related. No. But he
Oh,
he
okay.
gave a super chat, so I'm reading his super chat out of respect. Cannot be related. Mexicans are Q and R, and blacks are E1B1A, not a match. Yeah, that's the same problem that the camps have. Now, I'm not saying you're a camper. He brought this up, so to, out of respect for him, since he gave a $10 super chat, I'm gonna deal with that briefly. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. The camps have a really incoherent methodology, because they have 3 radically different people groups. Q carrying Native Americans, because that's what most Native Americans are, Q carriers. E1B1A carrying descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, and R1B carrying Latinos, because most Latinos paternally are R1BM269, which is one of the founding haplogroups of Spain and Portugal. It's one of their dominant haplogroups. So they have 3. They have one people group who, according to their own doctrine, would really be Edomites. Then they have another group of people who, in their doctrine, can't be the same people as the descendants of the slave trade. Yet they're all claiming that these 3 and were in the Americas long before there was an Abraham. We have Native American cadavers that are QM3 on this side of the world long before there's an Abraham. And somehow they're the same. Like, the Clovis people were over here long before there was an Abraham. So they cannot be the same people. These are 3 radically different people groups, and yet they have a 12-tribe chart that claims that Ephraim are the Puerto Ricans, that Manasseh are Cubans, and African Americans are Judah. It's absurd. It's incoherent, and it's not biblical, and it's not historical, and the genetic evidence destroys it. But to your point, I know you don't believe in the tribe chart. Um, the the problem with your viewpoint is that, fam, there's no way to reconcile your current perspective with the genetic evidence. It's impossible. If we're talking about patrilineal physical descendants of Jacob, it's impossible, bro.
Okay.
I'm saying that about you, about your perspective,
Okay.
King Echo. Yeah, your perspective, it's not backed up by the evidence, man. Now, if you want to try something biblical, because this is usually where most guys are like, "Well, I don't care about that stuff, anyways. I don't care about that. Let's talk about the Bible. Do you want to get into the Bible?
Deuteronomy 28.
Yep. Let's actually deal with that. I'm gonna ask you. No, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you a question about that. Yeah. I mean,
uh,
you wanna deal with that or no?
sure, go ahead. Let me give this
No,
a
no.
try.
I'm just wondering if you want to deal with that. We don't
No,
have
we
to.
could deal with that. We could deal with it.
Okay, if you want to. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. So I'm gonna ask you an important question.
All right.
Because obviously, Remy Alona doesn't believe in the curses, identifying Israelites by the curse. He doesn't use that methodology. I know the guy, Akwete Bezalama, who thinks the Eve are Israelites. He doesn't hold to the perspective of the curses. So um, most of the West African claimants don't use the curses as
I
the barometer. So
mean,
it's got, most of them don't.
can
I've
I say
talked to
something
them.
real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. The difference, like with Remy, I know Remy. I know Remy personally. He came to my Knesset one couple times already, right? He came to.
Okay.
So what the difference is, they have the oral history. So they don't. They have like a different mindset than the people that came to, that happened to the transatlantic slavery than the
Mm-hmm.
curses.
Well,
So
do me a favor. Whenever you get a chance, so I have several videos dealing with some of Remy Alona's claims, especially because he tries to make arguments for genetics. You'll see that his claims, and also Eliezer de la Mota, that guy, like, so I've done videos refuting their claims. So there's one on the Igbo Pasak Din that was formed by Eliezer de la Mota. If you go to my go to my lives, right, the YouTube lives, and matter of fact, I'll link you to it. I'll make it
hold up,
easier on you.
hold up.
No, I'll link you to it.
Eliezer. No, you say Eliezer
De
Dadamoto.
la Mota, de la Mota.
Dadamoto.
He's the
Oh
guy.
yeah,
He works with Remy Alona.
Yohanatan.
Yeah, yeah, Yohanathan. Yeah.
Uh huh.
So we did a whole live stream where we
But he's
pointed out
different
that
though.
I know he's different. I'm not. No, no. Listen to me. I know he's actually Jewish. I
How?
understand that he. I understand his perspective, and I know he's not a Hebrew Israelite. I know that.
I mean,
I'm clear on
technically,
that.
hold
He's
up.
not. No, he's not a Hebrew Israelite. No, he's
Hold
not.
hold up. No, hold up, hold up. He is an
By the way, if you see
Israelite.
the no. Listen to what I said. So he's Jewish. He is Jewish, rabbinic Jewish.
Right.
When I say he's not a Hebrew Israelite, I mean he's not a part of the Hebrew Israelite community. He is a part of the wider Jewish community. He's legitimately a Jew. He's actually a Jew. Now, the reason I bring that up is because, unfortunately, a lot of Hebrew Israelites like to misuse his stuff, and they like to look at his Pesach Din that he did. I believe, what was it, in 2020 or 2021? Anyways, if you look at his Pesach Din, we did a critical review because Remy Alona uses his Pesach Din to try to push the claim for Ebos. And when you look at that Pesach Din, you'll see the sort of mistakes that he was making. And that's no disrespect to him. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a well-intentioned guy, but even well-intentioned smart guys can make mistakes. So if you look at that video that I just posted in the private chat,
Yeah, I did. I
and
did.
we were extremely respectful in that live stream. We didn't disrespect him, but we did show the errors that he was making. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because, man, the West African groups tend to be of the nicer variety for the most part. I'm saying non-camps because IUIC is out there now and they're trying to deceive people into that
No, no,
nonsense.
no.
But
See that?
I know that you guys aren't like them. I understand that.
No, no,
I'm
no, no.
well
I'm
aware of
just
that.
saying that they spread like a false doctrine that
I
people
know.
easily claim
Yeah.
to. But I would say also, you know how I would
Mhm.
say they're my brothers because they know who they are, but they have the wrong
They're
information.
they're they're brother, bro. Listen to me. Not only are they not your brothers, if we're being honest, just in terms of religious ideology. If I were
No,
you, I would stay as far.
no,
No, let
but
me
I would
finish.
say that
Yeah, if you call them your brothers, man, I'm gonna start standing you close to them, and the same way I go in on them, I'm gonna go in on you. Now I'm gonna keep
oh,
it real, like hey man, you know how they say, man, like if you in the wrong place at the wrong time, like and a bullet hits you, Don't let that bullet hit you, bro. That's all
Can
I'm
I say?
telling you.
Can I correct myself
Cause
at
cause
least?
cause 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 when I'm popping off at them paws, I'm popping off at you too if you're standing too close to them.
Can I
You
correct
know?
myself at least?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say that we're brothers in the terms of they don't know the history. I'm gonna be honest with you, meaning that we are from the North America to the Caribbeans to certain parts of the world, right? We all came under Rabbi Machi, right, and Rabbi Josiah Ford, right? It's just that
Yeah,
they
I have a video on Arnold Josiah Ford too. You know, his claim was also dubious, and check out my dubious doctorates video. Like I got videos on most of these guys, man. Like there's a ton of stuff that once you start looking at this stuff, you'll start second guessing that community, man. You'll start saying, "Oh, nah, man, this is pseudo," because it is pseudo.
Okay. But
Those
I'm
guys
saying
are
that
pseudo.
we came from that same. I don't know. I never heard him teach his doctrine. I mean, besides
Hmm.
the Israelite claim and stuff, but I never heard him teach or anything like that. I just know
Yeah,
that we came from like the same rabbi. It's just that they went left and
fam. I
completely
think
went
anybody that
left.
hosted these ideas is not dealing with like objective evidence. I think they're going left too. To be
I mean,
honest.
some people do have evidence.
Fam, every time that I've encountered a Hebrew or anybody adjacent to their ideas and they show me the
You
evidence, it's
you talking
always
about One West or the Torah
no, no,
only?
no. We're talking about like any one of the guys that are claiming West Africans are Israelites or the descendants of slavery like every time I've encountered these claims, I've found them wanting, lacking, fam, like I've gone into everything that you could possibly go into. You want to get into the Portuguese Jews, Sephardic Jews, Iberian Jews. You want to get into, um, like the wacky claims from books like from Babylon to Timbuktu. You want to like, bro, everything.
Hold on. What's wrong with Babylon to Timbuktu?
Babylon to Timbuktu is completely a pseudo book, man. It's filled, littered with huge leaps in logic, unfounded claims, sometimes even fabricated claims and sources, man. Like there was a lot that Rudolph Windsor got wrong in that book, man. You
So
know,
what about
my friend Jesse Walsh, man. I'm actually planning on having him on this channel, and we're actually gonna review because he did a takedown from Babylon to Timbuktu. But I myself, I've pointed out to people that Rudolph Windsor's book is not not a good resource.
what about the Hebrew Isms of West Africa?
That one, I just did a video on that one too, bro. Like that book debunks Hebrew Israelites. If you go to, I believe it's page 64, 65, bro, it kills the doctrine that Hebrew Israelites espouse. And more importantly, the author of the book believed. No, no,
Hold
let
on.
me finish. I'm
What
not
page? No,
finished,
no,
bro.
what page? What page?
You notice I'm still talking,
I'm
right?
asking what page.
Here, I heard you. So 64 or 65, I believe. So, matter of fact, I have a video on my channel, bro. Just go to my channel, right? Go to the video section. You'll see the video. If you scroll, you'll see Black Hebrew Israelites debunk Hebrewisms of West Africa. You'll literally see it, man. So the author of that book didn't even, the author of that book believed that the mainstream community were legitimately Israelites, right? He believed that. I don't know if you know that. By the way, I muted your mic because you were interrupting. You do know that he believed that, right? You got to unmute, man. You want to?
Nah, I didn't know that.
Well, there you go. It's in his book. Bro, like that's why I say a lot of guys that parrot these claims don't bother to fact check or look at the books themselves to see what the guy like. Check this out. Have you ever? I know you don't hold to the. I hope you don't hold to the viewpoint of white people being Edomites, right? Like not all Hebrew Israelites believe that, but do you believe that by any chance?
Nah.
Okay. But do you know that there are Hebrew Israelites that believe white people are Edomites? Do you know what they use to try to back themselves up? They use one of the books that they use is called "Who is Esau Edom" by Charles Wiseman. Yeah, but do you know that the author of that book is a white supremacist? He believes that the true Israelites are European people, the British. He holds the British Israelism. And you have knuckleheaded Hebrew Israelites using his book to try to make the claim that, oh, look, see, this book here says that white people are Edom. Well, it doesn't even say white people, it says Jewish people. But in that same book, he says that the true Israelites are Europeans, like white Europeans, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Europeans.
So what about the Israelites and Jews? The differences, the significant differences.
No, but did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard you. The British Israelites, like
Yeah,
England
and that
is
you and you and you have Hebrew Israelites that are using that book that promotes white supremacist ideas to peddle their nonsense.
the
It
one
shows you
West.
how, yeah, mainly the no, not just the one West. So you have had several members of IOG. So I don't know if you know who IOG is, Israel of God. They have also used that book in ignorance, not realizing that they're peddling a white supremacist book. So you've had members of IOG using it. I'm not saying IOG endorses the book, but you have members of IOG who have ignorantly used that book. So it's not just the camps that use that book.
Okay.
Bro, yeah, if you start digging deep, you'll start realizing how ignorant a lot of these guys are, man.
Oh, I know who these guys are. Okay. Uh-huh.
Wait, what do you mean? What did you say? You know, what do you mean?
Not
Oh,
IOG. IOG.
Israel God?
Like, yeah, yeah. I know who the guys are. So can I ask you about the one other book?
Yeah, let me. So I have a live stream that I did several years ago where I showed it. I showed it in the live stream. So I'm posting it in the private chat. Do you see the private chat? So I'm giving you a lot of stuff to look at, man. I'm giving you a lot of resources. So I'm not just giving you my own opinion. I'm giving you receipts. So you can see I'm not making this up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I already gave you the links to the articles. I gave you those videos, man. Listen to me, man. Here, I'm gonna give you this debate where my brothers in Christ debunk these Tanakh onlys on Jesus being the Messiah, that they prove that Jesus is the Messiah. Fam, if you want to believe in the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're only gonna have that in the Christian faith, man. You're not gonna have that anywhere else. So if I were you, bro, I wouldn't be searching in a synagogue, or I would be searching in the Christian faith.
So, but
You know,
I'll ask a question, right?
hmm
So wouldn't it? So doesn't the New Testament contradicts the Old Testament?
no. And in fact, if you know anything about the actual community of Israel, the Jewish community, or whatever you want to call it, you'll notice that the New Testament authors are engaging in the exact same methodological approach as the sages in their writings, except they're coming to the logical conclusion that would have to be left with, which is Jesus is the only messianic claimant who fits all the criteria. And when you realize that the New Testament authors are utilizing their methodology, then it becomes really clear, oh snap, he is the Messiah. So look, this you see this oh, so this is the playlist. I didn't want to give you that playlist. It was the video in the playlist that I wanted to give you. I'm sorry. Let me actually give you that video. So this is the actual video in question. So whenever you get a chance, I want you to check this out, man. This one right here. You see this right here? This specific video is the one that I want you to check out. All right? This debate. I really want you to check that out when you get a chance. All right?
All right, I got you. So no, but sorry, but have you read the Israelites and Jews? The significant difference by Kohen Micaiah Ben Lewi, the Ben Lewi,
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
the Israelites and Jews, the significant difference by Kohen
Then
Micaiah Ben Lewi.
that book sounds familiar. So the question that I have for you is this: have you looked at actual legitimate scholarly books on the topic, not conspiratorial books, but actual scholarly material on the topic?
Nah,
Why?
I don't know. I thought he was. When I looking back at it, there was kind of bias.
What was the bias?
No, like not the scholarly books, but the those like other books that you mentioned, that the Israelite, the Hebrewism of West Africa,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, but so
Babylon to
th-
Timbuktu, and
uh-huh. Yeah, so here's what's interesting, man. You have a book here. So I have this book in my hand by Tudor Parfit. Now, this is another book, so you can see it. This is not a because sometimes I get accused by Hebrew Israelites of not actually having the books or whatever the case is. So this is called The Lost Tribes of Israel, The History of a Myth by Tudor Parfit. So what he means is the mythos associated with the 10 lost tribes. So do you know how many groups of people historically have been identified as being lost tribes of Israel, bro? Fam, there's a myriad of groups. I mean, if we go down the list, so do you know that Japanese and Chinese people were claimed to be Israelites at one point? Obviously, you know the Pashtuns, Turkish people, Mongolians, British people, Irish people. Uh, let's see who else. Like Native Americans, various Native American groups. Of course, you know various groups in Africa. Um, fam, like if we start going down the list, a bunch of groups. Um, People in Papua New Guinea, the Polynesians. Like, it's crazy how many groups of people historically have been called quote unquote Israelites, you know. But when you get down to the nitty gritty, when you look at the genetics, it falls apart. These claims all start to fall apart.
but
It be
who genetics did they compare them
no, no,
to?
no. It's not about who's genetics. If it's about methodology.
Okay,
If you're saying a person is only an Israelite on the father's side, but then so I want you to think of it this way. Here's one methodology. Okay. If an old source says that someone is an Israelite, then therefore they are an Israelite. That's the methodology of some ignorant Hebrew Israelites out there. Well, here's the problem. If we took every single claim of every group and we tied them together and then we looked at their genetics, the genetics aren't going to line up with the claim that they're patrilineal descendants of Jacob, if that's what one means by Israelite. It's going to show the complete opposite, that they cannot be patrilineal descendants of Jacob. That it is impossible for them to be physical patrilineal descendants of Jacob. On the father's side, it's impossible. Father to son, it's impossible because they're not the same people. They have various, way different lines of descent. Some of these people by majority are not the same people as the other people by majority. Some of these people don't even have any genetic connections paternally. So it's a mess. It's a huge mess. Think of it this way. So a lot of your East Asiatic people are haplogroup O. How are they the same people as R carriers and J carriers and Q carriers and T carriers and E1B1A carriers? They can't be the same people. It's impossible. They're descended from completely radically different people groups in the immediate sense. We all ultimately descend from Adam, but we're not all ultimately descended from the same population of people. We're all descended from different populations of people who all ultimately descend from Adam if we go all the way back far enough. But as far as the immediate sense, they're completely different people. Like saying Hamites and Israelites all descend from Adam, but they're not the same people, right? Or Israelites and Japhetic people all descend from Adam, but they're not the same people in the immediate sense. You understand what I'm saying now?
right.
Yeah. J carriers and E1B1A carriers do not descend from the same immediate progenitor, the same immediate people group. They're not the same people. They're on completely different branches on the phylogenetic tree.
Okay. So now let's say Igbo had the same DNA type, haplogroup type as the Lemba and the Ethiopia,
They're
then
not as
that
not
would
the same as Ethiopians. Ethiopians are different people paternally than Igbos and Yoruba.
no Lemba. I said Lemba. I'm saying if they
Lemba.
have the
They're
same,
they're
if
they're
they
different. If we're saying E1B1A carrying Lembas are genetically in proximity to E1B1A carrying Igbos, but E1B1A carrying Lembas and Igbos are not the same people as A carrying Ethiopians, or E1B1B carrying Ethiopians, or T carrying Ethiopians. They're different people.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
For example, most African Americans, 60% of African Americans on the father side are the exact same people as the majority of Igbos and the majority of Yoruba and the majority of Akan people. But 25% of African American, no, it's higher than that. The sister said 20. It's actually, so I'm going to use the root.com. I'm going to back myself up with a resource. So it's actually higher than that. It's not 25%. It's actually in the 30% range. Because there's two different haplogroups that are European haplogroups that are found in African American populations. So I'm going to show it on my screen in a second. So this is the root.com. This is exactly how black is Black America. Now look what it says right here. And I'm going to give you an example of somebody who this is a reality for. Gorilla Hebrew. You're going to find out in a second. You know who Gorilla Hebrew is, right? The guy, the leader of Sakari.
I think so. He
Yeah,
kind of
Gorilla
look
Hebrew.
like Mexican or something like that.
He's the leader of Sakari. He's the guy that I mean, if you want to call him, he's really biracial. But anyways, if you look at Sakari, if you just type in Gorilla Hebrew Sakari, you'll see exactly who I'm talking about. So he took a DNA test in 2022 and came back haplogroup R. R is a haplogroup that's found amongst Europeans. And as you well know, you know who colonized the island of Hispaniola. You know, your French and your Spanish. He has on his father's side the same genetics as those people. It's bad, man. I'm telling you. Now, look what it says right here. This is the part I wanted you to see. And for our African American male guest, there has been still another astonishing fact revealed about their paternal ancestry, their father's 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 line. Through their Y DNA, a whopping 35% of all African American men descend from a white male ancestor who fathered a mulatto child sometime in the slavery era, most probably from this word right here, or coerced sexuality. In other words, if we tested the DNA of all the black men in the NBA, for instance, just over 1/3 descend from a white second or third great grandfather. Now, this is Henry Louis Gates Jr. in this article. In my own case, he was my great great grandfather, and he was most probably of Irish descent, judging from our shared Y DNA haplogroup. So the guy that wrote this article himself descends from a European on his father's side, even though he looks outwardly no different than your average African American. That's why I say looks are deceiving.
Okay.
The
Got you.
more that you examine the genetic evidence, man, the more it's going to destroy the Hebrew Israelite worldview. There's no salvaging the Hebrew Israelite worldview, bro.
Uh-huh.
I know you want to believe this as a thing of faith, man, but don't put your faith in something that's untenable and unprovable. Put your faith in the only one that can actually save your soul, and that's Jesus Christ, man. If you want to know a true sense of identity, a true sense of belonging, you can only have that in him, man. Only through Jesus Christ will you be able to know what true peace is. You'll know what it means to truly be in the Most High God. And then you'll have the relationship, the covenant. You'll be in the covenant. But
What
without Christ,
covenant?
you have nothing. What do you mean? The covenant that was promised in the Tanakh, the new covenant.
Okay.
Because you do realize the new covenant was promised in the Tanakh. That would not be like the previous covenant that he made with the fathers when he took them by the hand out of the land of Egypt, the covenant that they broke, though he was a husband unto them.
Yeah,
It's
but
going to
I
be
mean,
different.
from my understanding, it just said the covenant would be in what parts.
Yeah, but the problem is that in order for that to be the case, it has to be different, though. And the difference is also not just in the idea that it's going to be inward, because obviously it has to start inward. And that's exactly, if you look at Jesus. Jesus says it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out. So it comes from the inside. That's why the inside has to be changed. That's why Christ told the Pharisees that they were whitened sepulchres, whitewashed tombs, who wanted to appear beautiful on the outside, but inwardly were filled with the bones of dead men and all manner of uncleanness. He told them, clean the inside of the cup. And that's exactly what God does with us in the new covenant. He makes the inside of the cup clean so that we can shine our light outwardly because the inside has now been made good. But without that inside being made good, you're not, it doesn't matter what you try to do. You're as good as dead. You're still dead in your sins unless the inside of you has been made good. And the only way for that to happen is to believe on that promised one, that suffering servant of Isaiah 53, who is identified as Jesus in the New Testament. He is the fulfiller of those words. So what I would really implore you, man, really watch that debate. It's the last video that I posted in the private chat.
Okay.
Please watch that debate. And but I do got to shut it down now, man, because I'm looking at the time, man, and I got to get something to eat because I definitely got to get something to eat. But listen, man, I do appreciate the cordiality and the respect. I apologize if I was a little sharp at any point. I I sincerely want you to think about these things, though, man. I
Can I
really
ask you a
do.
question, brother?
Sure, you can.
Where are you based out of? Where are you
I'm in the
based out of?
states. Well,
No, I
I'm
know.
in
I
the
mean, like
states,
what
man.
state?
Oh, I'm not gonna share that in a live stream, man. Like, I'm in the United States, man.
East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
brother, I hope I see you one day in the. I hope I see you one day in the streets. We could probably build, and have a wonderful night.
Are you in the
And
states by any chance?
yeah,
Are well, you know what? If you want to type it in the private chat, you can do it that way, man. And then, you know what I mean. But man, look, regardless though, I thank God that we have the means of social media to be able to communicate because I like having conversations like this and I want you to see and I want the audience to see I'm not doing this because I just want to beat you down and show that I'm so much smarter than you. That's not the end goal. The end goal is to bring people to Christ for me. As a Christian, I want to bring people to the knowledge of the truth which is found in Jesus. I
so
don't
our
just
question
want
to
people
ask
to
you,
yeah, go ahead.
all right?
Yeah.
That's a question, all right? Have you
Yeah.
done a DNA test?
No.
Okay. So now let's say now, right? You're a descendant of the ancient Israelites. What would you do?
It would be irrelevant to me if I'm not in Christ. But because I am in Christ, it wouldn't matter. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting, but it would be like whatever. Like to me, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Okay.
What matters to me is that I'm in Jesus. Like if I were a descendant of the ancient Israelites and I'm not in Christ, I'm as good as dead. But it's because that I'm in Christ that I have right standing with the Father and I have the guidance of the Ruach Hakodesh, the Holy Spirit. So for me, that's what matters. You know?
I like
No, no,
that.
no, but that's what matters to me. That I want to serve God. I don't
Right.
want to serve my own interests. I don't care if I was or wasn't an Israelite. That to me is as meaning by Israelite in that sense, a physical descendant. That's superfluous. That's irrelevant to me. What matters to me is that I'm in Christ Jesus. That's what
Okay.
matters to me.
Okay. I got you. So damn. I just want to say something, right?
No, no,
That,
real quick, bro, because I do got to shut this down, man.
right, right,
So
right.
let's make
It just
yeah,
something.
yeah, that'd be the last
Just
thing. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, man.
one thing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It does a question, right? I just was so our question. So this
yeah.
in the New Testament, right? From my knowledge, I haven't really opened the New Testament since I
Mm-hmm.
was like 16, 17. I legit just been reading Torah since I came into knowledge of self, right? So
You mean
if
the
it's
knowledge that you can't?
I just in past tense, right?
You're saying knowledge of self, the knowledge that you
Right,
you
right,
can't
right,
demonstrate. By
right.
the way,
Knowledge
we
I
never
can't
got to
demonstrate.
Deuteronomy 28. I guess we'll do it next time.
Yeah,
We'll
next
definitely.
time. Because if you on here a lot,
I want you.
I
I
go
want you
tap
to
in.
see how Deuteronomy 28 appealing to the curses is going to backfire too, man. Like it's going to it backfires on most guys that make an appeal to it because one, most of them don't bother to consider the context. Secondly, um, You don't identify people by the curses, you identify them by the blessing. The blessing is what identifies the children of obedience. The curses identify those who are in disobedience and outside.
Okay.
You understand me? Because what cuts you off from God is the disobedience to the covenant, right?
Right.
According to Deuteronomy 28. So why would you identify yourself with being cut off? I identify myself as the New Testament says. It says, therefore, they which are of faith are blessed, not cursed, blessed, along with Abraham, the man of faith. That's Galatians chapter 3, verse 9. You notice that stark contrast? We're identifying with the blessing found in Abraham, not curses, which identify the children of disobedience. So if you want to be a son of God, you have to believe in his messenger, and his messenger is Christ. Just like you have to believe in the prophets that he sent. Christ is one of those messengers and prophets that he sent. And he's not just merely a messenger and a prophet, he's much more than that. But what I would tell you is that if you don't have that, then you can't believe in Tanakh, because Tanakh predicted the coming of him. When you
But
believe in him, you're trusting in that Tanakh is true, that it kept its word. You understand?
I get that. But see, the thing is, in that the thing is, right? Why the Torah only don't believe in, JC or whatever, is that it has couple prerequisites that you have to meet, and he doesn't. And also
Which
his
is that
lineage.
that's but that's why I wanted you to watch that video. And if you want to talk about lineage, you should look at Numbers 27 and 8, because you have an exception clause that allows for a person to be. By the way, even Tanakh contradicts you on this idea that it's patrilineal, always normative, like not normatively. Pardon me. That it's always rigidly is the word I was thinking of. Rigidly, without any kind of exception. That it's always the father side. Nah, fam. You got people that are Israelites on their mother's side in First Chronicles chapter 2, 31 through 35,
I mean, the Torah
and
talks
elsewhere.
about us too. The Torah talks about your mother being an Israelite, but you see how you call it about like being Jewish? They call it
Yeah, but
Israelitish.
no, it doesn't. Let me show you that's actually an ignorant appeal. First of all, that Jewish Israelitish is an English convention that the ish suffix indicates nationality, belonging to. So that woman that's called Israelite ish in in the English of Leviticus 24, 10, and 11, Shalomith, in the Hebrew, she's identified as Yisraelit. That's the female version of Yisraeli, which means Israelite. Her dad is Debri from the tribe of Dan. And it never says that her mother is not an Israelite. So what you just said is just functionally false, man. Furthermore, the ish suffix is also used again for the Israelites. For example, if you read I believe it's First Maccabees, I want to say like 13, it uses the same word in the Greek that's used for the New Testament when it says Jewish fables. It's the same Greek word, and it's equivalent to the same Hebrew word that's used to indicate belonging to the Jews.
Can I?
So nah,
Sorry,
man, not.
sorry to
But
cut you
man,
off.
no, bro,
Hold on,
listen.
hold on, sorry. What
No,
you
bro,
said?
listen, bro. I listen,
No,
bro,
no, no, no,
listen,
no. I was asking for the number, the,
bro.
the book
I'm gonna.
number.
I hear you, but you noticed that I was telling you, like I should have been already ended this live stream, so I need to end the live stream. I'm gonna do another one, um, next week. So I'm doing Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday. Okay. This Saturday, I already have one planned with someone else. Thursday, I have a live stream planned on a different subject. So next week, next Tuesday, we can continue our conversation if you like, and we can keep exploring these subjects. All right. Sound good? I don't know if you can hear me. Sound good? You have to unmute, man. King Echo, can you hear me? Sound good?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to ask you one question. What was the last number? What was the last book you said? It was Numbers what?
Numbers 27 and 8 with and you can see an example of that in First Chronicles chapter 2, verses 31 through 35. So Shishan, his daughter Athlai, etc. Anyways, my friend, but I have to end this live stream, okay?
All right, no
So
problem, my brother. Yo, brother, nice talking to you. Have a wonderful night.
nice talking to you too.
All right,
Appreciate it, man.
bye bye.
Take it easy, man. Yep. All right, fellas, I'm gonna shut it down, man. I gotta get something to eat, y'all. I appreciate all of you for sticking around. I see J Man in here. Shout out to J Man. With that being said, man, I'm gonna do this again Saturday, and I'm gonna be talking with Jamel. So if you saw the first live stream that I did with Jamel this past Saturday, the Saturday that passed, I'm gonna have another one this coming Saturday. So be on the lookout for that one. This Thursday, I'm gonna be with the brother Rick Caldwell, and hopefully some other Rick Caldwell, the brother Rick Real, and hopefully a special guest. I'm not gonna spoil it. Hopefully we get that special guest. If not, then it'll just be us brothers, and we'll be talking about God Logic's debate with Joe Webbin. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. The Christian nationalist guy. So, God Logic won that debate, and we're gonna be discussing how Joe Webbin did a terrible job. But anyways, with that being said, I'm gonna shut it down right now. God bless you all. By the way, stick around, brother Willie. I wanted to, talk to you about something. Nothing bad.
Okay.
Anyways, with that being said, God bless you all. I hope this has edified everyone out there. And until next time, take care. Y'all take it easy. God bless.